Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Hope you had an awesome weekend. Good Monday to each and every one of you. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online. ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. But hey, if you do, got you covered. All 3 hours of the program get posted upon the conclusion of said show, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. On iTunes, you 5-star that sucker and pass it around. JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. On Twitter, it's at JCameron Show. The WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Periscopers. Good to have you on board as well. Wow. What a cool stretch. Nice little run here for us football fans, right? Goodness gracious, between the playoffs and the NFL and what just transpired there, some wacky results and amazing outcomes given score and scenario and all that stuff that we'll talk about in a second. But also tonight, the national championship game. Took a while to get here, but it is, I think, one of those games that has potentially, dangerous word I know, the promise to be an all-timer. Now, it's hard to predict those. I mean, we've had plenty of matchups over the years where you see two teams that look evenly matched or seem ideal to produce a game for the ages, and then it just doesn't happen that way. A lot of things have to play out. Somebody could decide to turn it over 3 or 4 times in the first half, and there goes your good game. But on paper, I'd say that this is as excited as I've been and unsure about a side as I've been in this era of college football. I think all these other games we go back and look at, whether I was wrong or right, either way, I had a feeling or a sense or there was some sort of statistical outlier that I thought portends of a certain result or so. This is the first one that I've had, and I've had a long time to figure this out. We all have, where I go, I can make a compelling argument for LSU to win this game, and I can make a compelling argument for Clemson to win this game, and both would be steeped in logic, and they would be well-reasoned, and we'd be able to see why we were thinking that way, and I wouldn't fault anybody on either side of the fence for this game, and that's good. You want that. You want a matchup where you're like, I mean, listen, when Alabama played Notre Dame, I think we all knew what the hell was going to happen there. I mean, we thought, well, this won't be much of a game, and it wasn't much of a game.
It's the only national championship in my lifetime that, since I could watch sports by choice, that I didn't see a play of.
You just didn't even watch it?
I was here at the office. It was years and years ago, but I was working a little bit late, and I saw the score late in the second quarter. I said, I'm going to keep on working. You know what? This is like free time to me because this game's over. I don't need to see this.
Well, they dominated the line of scrimmage. Within 5 minutes, you knew it was over. But the point would be that you look at this game, and you just don't see anything like that. Again, games, they play out for a reason. Results happen. We know afterwards why they, led to that score or whatever it might be. But just on the surface here, in advance, I'd say, golly, we are lucky. This is what you wanted. And frankly, I wanted either this, meaning LSU versus Ohio State, or LSU versus Clemson. This was either way. I thought Clemson-Ohio State was an all-timer, and we were going to see a great game, and boy, we got lucky we did. But this feels that way too. This really does. We were all excited. When we saw the combatants, we were like, well, one of these things doesn't look like the other, and that was OU. And the result suggested as much. But those 3 teams, LSU, Ohio State, and Clemson, they passed the test.
Yeah, this if this was Ohio State and they close it out and they finish the drive, same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, no, it's a real classic matchup. Really is in so many ways. I start with just the surface level stuff. You have the highest scoring team in college football going against the team that gave up the fewest points per game this season in all of college football. So the number 1 offense against the number 1 defense in all of college football. Okay, just start there. Okay, I like that. 47 points a game for LSU, 11 given up a game for Clemson. Just start with that. Now, look at the fact that what you really have here, and there's a series of things that you could kind of contemplate. Joe Burrow is going to go number 1 in this year's draft. Unfortunately for him, he's going to Cincinnati, which means we'll never hear from him again. But then secondarily, I think we're pretty sure Trevor Lawrence is going number one the following year. So you got two guys that are going to have back-to-back years going number one. Now, again, injuries happen, knock on wood, nothing like that. But
maybe that's why Burrow was crying in his Heisman speech. He was thinking about Cincinnati.
This is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah. It's the best time of my life, Coach.
Yeah, this is it. But the game itself, I want to play out in a way that leaves us in suspense in the fourth quarter, because I think there are so many cool storylines if that happens, and there is a lot on the line in terms of legacy, in terms of Ed Orgeron as well as Dabo Swinney. Obviously, the players, Trevor Lawrence has yet to lose a college football game. You talk about what it does for his legacy, what that cements for them. Dabo has a chance to win 3 national titles in 4 years. It's been done 3 times, I think I read, since 1936, that a guy won 3 in 4 years. The last one to do it, Tom Osborne at Nebraska. There are just so many interesting factoids, if you will, surrounding this game for both sides. And that's the other thing I want to see. Does Joe Burrow and the LSU offense complete what is right now the greatest offensive season ever put together for a team that goes on to win a national championship? You've had some outliers where people put up huge numbers. I remember one year Hawaii and Houston, and these teams have put up numbers that were video game numbers, and some of those records are still on the books, but they didn't accomplish anything. This would be the greatest offensive season for a team that went on to win, the national title.
Well, there's a lot to look at, too, because I was reading an article on Yahoo Sports today that says the trend is LSU's pass defenses come to life, but in the article, they're citing good performances against Kellen Mond, Jake Fromm, and Jalen Hurts. And if you're just looking at pass defense against those quarterbacks, I don't know that I'm impressed with the results. If we have to weigh the ACC numbers that Clemson has, I think you got to weigh it against those quarterbacks that LSU has performed against. But here's a really good chance to show it's not just a trend against mediocre quarterback play. It's a trend against really, really good quarterback play. And the other thing was, if you look at what Clemson's receivers were doing, which was a whole lot of nothing, both their star players were held under 50 yards against Ohio State. A lot of press coverage that Clemson usually does not see in the ACC.
Correct.
So are they awake to it now? Are they ready to fight off press coverage? Because that's what LSU does.
The receivers talked about it right after the game.
And if so, does that open up some shots down the field, which I think it probably will.
Well, you can do this, and we could spend hours. I will say this. I mean, whether it's Joe Burrow versus the Clemson defense, which I think is the most intriguing matchup in the game, Joe Burrow versus the Clemson defense, and obviously this offense, which you got 4 NFL receivers, you've got weapons all over the field. Burrow gets all the credit, and I understand it, but exceptionally well coached, and, yeah, they got players. I mean, those are really good guys he's throwing to. That's a matchup. You have the Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence in a weird way. I understand there's no such thing as quarterback wins, and they're not going against each other, but we see the matchup, and people will be comparing forevermore what these two guys do in this game. The Clemson offense versus the LSU defense, which you just alluded to, with the opportunity to make plays down the field.
Yeah, the quarterbacks can throw the guys open, don't get me wrong, and Lawrence will and Burrow will tonight, but you also have to be able to get open once in a while. And so is this a trend where these guys are quote-unquote soft, or is it they just got awoken to, what they need to do when they play at this level to win at this level?
Yeah, you think about Higgins, you think about Ross, you think about those matchups, and I it's funny because I was going through asking myself of the position groups, and you start at quarterback, you go to running back, you go to offensive line, you go through the position groups and you decide what you like. Obviously, the sexy players are always going to be your skill position guys. And you do. You think about Higgins, Ross, and then Jefferson or Marshall or Chase. I mean, which position group would you want? Would you want LSU? Would you want LSU's receiving core? Or would you want Clemson's receiving core? Would you want Joe Burrow or would you want Trevor Lawrence? Would you want? I think we both would choose ATN over Edward-Helaire. But
still,
he's good. He's good.
And he was so critical down the stretch of the key win on the road at Alabama that. Listen, if he's the focal point when everything is breaking down and momentum might be against you, that tells you something very important. That Burrow values him a lot, that Brady values him a lot when it comes to play calling in key situations. So you have to be alert to Edwards-Helaire down the stretch if this thing is close. It's not necessarily about the shot over the top. Sometimes it's about getting a linebacker in a good matchup in space against this kid.
One of the most absurd football games and results that you will ever see, and the NFL is king for this, but it is always stunning to watch play out. 24-0. Second quarter, Houston Texans laying it to the Kansas City Chiefs, who could not get out of their own way. You've got great players like Kelsey dropping passes. You've got opportunities in which the ball is being put on the ground seemingly every other play for Kansas City early, especially on special teams. You're just gift-wrapping scores for the Houston Texans. And yet, I think a lot of people watching at 24-0 probably felt as I did. Not real sure it was going to happen. That is a big-ass lead. But if Kansas City can score here, or if they can just, because I said this to my oldest son, we were eating together watching the game. I said, obviously this is less than ideal for Kansas City. If they score twice before the half, that's what I said, little could I have known. If they score twice before the half and get it to 24-14, we got us a game. And I just want to see a game because I don't have a dog in the fight, really. I mean, I did take Kansas City and lay the points, but it wasn't a big bet. So I'm enjoying the game. Next thing I know, it's 28-24, and you're just laughing. You're just you're like, are you kidding me? If I tell you you've got a 24-0 lead in the second quarter and you're not going to have the lead at halftime, you would laugh me out of the room.
Well, yeah.
You're a Texans fan.
Well, the thing to me that was stunning is how open everything looked for Houston on offense.
Early.
And things kind of still were. It's just like they never had the ball. Obviously, the killer is the fumble on the kick return. That's a multiplier.
That's crazy.
That's before, you've got trickeration that fails.
Did it strike you as odd that my man who picks up the fumble, I'm not talking about when Hill fumbles for Kansas City. I'm talking about for the Texans.
I know where you're going.
What's he doing?
Okay, so
did he think it was a muff?
No, he's waiting for 82 to come up and block because if you look at the angle, the live angle, it looks like he should have scored. And why didn't he score?
Well, it also makes it look like he just stopped. I'm going, right. What are you doing, my man?
He's waiting for 82 to come up and block because there is a player who has the edge.
Okay.
But from the wire cam at live speed, it makes no sense. Yeah.
What is he doing? Why are you stopping? Run.
I needed Kansas City players to score offensive points, so I was okay with a 1st and goal or a 1st and 10 instead of 15, whatever
Either
it was.
way, right? So that game happens the way that it did, 51-31. We could spend 3 hours on it. We won't, but it was historic and bizarre. 24-0 becomes a 51-7 run by Kansas City. 51-7.
In an NFL playoff game on divisional weekend.
I mean, hope you had the over. It was bizarre. Now, mix into the, I would say mix in equally astounding factoids from the Baltimore Ravens loss to the Tennessee Titans, right? Maybe not equally because nothing can surpass that Kansas City game. You're right. The Titans are the first 6 seed to beat a 1 seed in the playoffs since 2010. And I keep cracking up thinking to myself, we spend hours talking about quarterback play during the NFL season every week. All people do. All fans do. Everybody's got an opinion about every quarterback in the league, good, bad, or indifferent, but somebody's got something to say at all times. Tannehill has combined to throw for 150 yards in 2 road games, and they've won them both. Total. He's completed 7 passes. So we all sit around thinking, well, who's the MVP? Would you want this quarterback or that quarterback? In order to win, you better have elite quarterback play. Not if you're the Titans. You get a guy to turn and hand the ball to Derrick Henry and get the hell out of the way. That's all literally, that guy has had to do virtually nothing.
But it's critical that they play from ahead, though.
Of course.
Or within a score, within reach.
Of course. They set the tone. They shorten the game. They run the ball, and they're allowed to keep running the ball when they have the lead or they're within a score. And that's why if you get on them early, they're going to get boat raced, but they don't. You got to give them credit. I mean, that is something to behold. And the Ravens shooting themselves in the foot time and again in that game, and then they begin to crack. You could see it. They begin to call plays uncharacteristically. They get pass happy. They get desperate. Guys are pressing, and that includes Lamar Jackson, who had a good game, not a great game. I actually think he played kind of poorly, but he
the fumble at 21-6 is totally a function of getting overwhelmed by the moment and trying to make all the plays by yourself.
Yeah. I just could not fathom that the Ravens, who had the Titans in a bad spot, much the way San Francisco had the Vikings in a bad spot. You've got to go on the road. You're playing an extra game. You got guys dinged. You got less rest. Now you got to go and do it again the following week, right? The 49ers did to Minnesota what teams do when they have that kind of advantage, and they got healthy at the right time. Minnesota goes in there. Game starts well enough for Minnesota, but it's becoming pretty clear pretty early that oh, they're not going to be able to run the ball. Well, if they're not going to be able to run the ball, this game is over, and then that's what happens. Then you look at this game, and I thought, okay, well, they're not going to be. I mean, everybody knows that they want to run the ball. Baltimore has been very good against the run. Let's see, get some stops. Get your offense out there. It was the number one offense in the league, rushing the football. Get an early lead. This becomes a whitewash. But they didn't. Tennessee gets going early. They begin to believe. They're running football with a guy that I don't know we've ever seen the likes of this. Look at the size of that man. I'm telling you, I continue to watch these games and think, who in the world is tackling that man?
Right. He's Brandon Jacobs, but like an actual,
faster,
fully functional running back. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
It's weird to watch him get up after he's been tackled, like an 8-yard run, and you kind of see the scrum, and everybody's getting up and all that, and you see him stand. He's the biggest bastard on the field.
I know. And he gets pulverized a couple of times in the backfield, but it didn't matter.
It doesn't. What are you going to do with that? It's weird to watch him stand up, and I go, he's bigger than that defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. He's bigger than that middle linebacker. A lot bigger. It's just, God bless you if you're a corner or a safety, and he gets to that second level, must terror.
His shoulder is wider than a football.
I mean, it's just got to be terror. I mean, just fall down. Just, turf monster. I'm not.
Well, if they do it again, maybe I should go get the Michael Caine clip from the third Austin Powers. Do you know who I am? Oh, you don't even have a name tag. You don't have a chance. Just go lay down.
Well, one thing that, and I want to go back to this real quick, and he'll have to deal with this. And I know statistically speaking, the numbers suggested that Lamar Jackson played pretty well, and he did do some things well. However, the defensive game plan, and I wanted to look this up, and thankfully ESPN's advanced stats have this. But, I was thinking while I was watching this game that it looked to me like they were employing, Tennessee was, the same game plan defensively that Los Angeles, the Chargers, did a year ago. Now, obviously, Lamar was better this year than he was last year. Last year, he couldn't complete a pass, and he looked like an idiot, which is why none of us saw this season coming. They opted to send 4 or fewer pass rushers on 87%. I had to look that up. I didn't know that. 87% of his dropbacks on Saturday. That's amazing. They're basically saying, you throw the ball. We don't think you can beat us throwing the ball. And if you're the Ravens, the thing you did best all year long was recognize that Lamar Jackson has a skill set that is so unique that you can win with it if you have all of these other complementary things in the run game that allow you to then throw off of play action time and again. And where Lamar gets credit is not only is he this guy that makes you look like a fool in the open field, and we're talking about the best athletes in the world getting shook on the regular.
Like 6 more times over the weekend. Yeah.
So there's that gift, right? You see that ability, and you go, well, that's different. I mean, what are you going to do with that? That guy's amazing. It's like when Russell Wilson's scrambling around. You're like, well, what do we do here? I mean, there's nothing that you can do with this.
There was a play, literally, I think it was the second sack that Kansas City got, second half yesterday, where Deshaun Watson quite literally runs in an oval pattern. It takes about 20 yards of space.
Yeah,
that's like the circumference of it.
Yeah.
But he returns right where he started, but he runs in a circle.
Yeah. Well, and Mahomes does it all the time. He runs backwards 15 yards.
Yeah.
I'll scan a little bit longer. Let me shift back over here. Oh, nothing there. I'm going to run for 10 yards. Maybe I'll throw it out of bounds. Maybe I'll find somebody. Who knows? Maybe I'll throw it across my body.
Well, he did that twice in the goal line. Once to Kelsey, across his body. The second time being when he drags his foot. It's just enough.
It's amazing. Yeah. But back to this, they're saying basically throw the ball. We know you can run the ball. We know that you want to beat people running the ball. The Ravens set the NFL record for most rushing yards in a season. They ran away with it this year. That's why their offense was so successful. Everything is off of that. And when you throw off a play action, you'll obviously have more time, and you're able to more consistently put defenses in really, really tough situations. He's throwing to a lot of open guys, and he's throwing more accurately than he ever did in college, and that's where I give him credit. But he's still not an elite pocket passer. So the game plan for them was, God, you can kill us this way. We know you can. And if you're able to run the ball, you're going to kill us in play action, and you've shown the ability to do that. Why don't we make you a drop-back passer? Let's just see if you can be a drop-back passer and throw the foot. And he really wasn't all that good in those situations. So
I think in the first half he made enough throws for them to be ahead or right there. But you have key drops and key situations early in the game when you're trying to figure out who's going to take that momentum. And again, it's so important for Tennessee to be within a score at any point, if not ahead, of course. Mm-hmm. But it's preferable to not have the game at 2 scores or more behind, because then you got to turn Tannehill loose. Now, he does make a couple of key throws, huge moments. The second touchdown is a beautiful pass up the seam. I get the guy's open, and we've never heard his name before until he makes that touchdown catch. But he made a couple throws when he needed to. That's not how you live and die if you're Tennessee, though. And so for Baltimore to make these key drops early in the game, a la what Kansas City did in the first quarter of yesterday's game.
Put him behind,
It put him behind the chains, so to speak, all day long.
Lamar Jackson has 21 touchdown passes against the blitz in 2019. So when teams came at him, he bought time, eluded pressure, led the league. He had the most by a quarterback, 21 touchdowns in those situations since 2006. So the Titans knew right then, don't do that. Make him throw as a drop-back passer. The Ravens during the course of the year were able to set up their offense in which it was centered around play action. They only made him just pure drop back, throw the ball 70% of the time this year on pass plays. Everything else was through play action. In that game, it was 91% of his passes came in that situation. So it was the right game plan. Again, he amassed a lot of yards. They really got bogged down in the red zone, killed him, plus they turned the ball over. That hurts. But, wow, I just think it's remarkable that a team, and this is now the Patriots knew it. Obviously, the Ravens knew it. A lot of teams in the second half of the season since Tannehill came on as the starter once they benched Mariota, they all knew it. Derrick Henry's going to get the ball a lot, like almost all the time, and nobody's stopping it. It's really a testament to that offensive line and how good they are run blocking, but then what he is after contact and how he wears on people. And because they're able to run the ball so effectively, they just never asked Tannehill really to do much of anything, say, to throw off a play action, and there's going to be somebody open because they have to commit to stopping Derrick Henry.
The 3 biggest plays he made to me, 3rd and 2 early in the game. They get pressure from the left, and this is where they split out Henry in motion at the snap. Then he breaks the pocket, rolls right, gets the first down. 3rd and goal, he makes the throw to Jonnu Smith. That's an absurd catch. I mean, it's a throw in the neighborhood, but it's not much better than a throw in the neighborhood. And then the downfield shot to make it 14-0, that's a great throw.
That is a great throw.
Beyond that, he didn't need to do much. I mean, think about
when the 7 passes.
Third down plays. To Henry, that's the one he almost scores on. He almost house calls it on. And you think about all short yardage. I mean, obviously the 4th down situations, but all these little moments like Jimbo would talk about. You could see raw yardage totals, and then you could see situational efficiency. Tennessee was off the charts in situational efficiency. Baltimore, exact opposite.
377 yards rushing for Derrick Henry in 2 games this postseason. That's the most rush yards in any 2-game span in postseason history.
It's within 6 days of each other, too.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, and he's up to 561 rush yards in 4 postseason games. That's the most for a player in his first 4 postseason games in the history of the National Football League. That's a big SOB. I mean, God, watching him run, I just sit in awe. It's cool. Like, that's a tank. No, I mean, those are giant men out there, and he makes them look small.
Yeah, he's a tackle. He's an offensive tackle.
It's got to suck. It's just got to be awful to have to tackle that guy. Well, there is a budding story in Major League Baseball, and I will touch on it a little bit later, but you have a suspension now coming for A.J. Hinch. And, you know, the Astros have problems on their hands, but so do the Boston Red Sox. We'll document some of this down the line here, but there's a bit of firing and everything else now. Oh, yeah, they're gone. These guys are gone. GM, manager, gone, suspended. Major League Baseball is not screwing around. They're doing what the NFL refuses to do when they catch people cheating.
No Spygate here. You're the hell out.
Oh, the NFL, they catch people cheating, namely the Patriots, on the regular, and they don't do anything about it. But freaking Major League Baseball is like, nay, you're done, gone for the year. And Cora suspension is going to be way longer than that.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram is looking for technicians to join their team. They've expanded their operation and are in need of quality individuals willing to be trained on their product and their competitors. They have a clean and safe working environment with state-of-the-art technology, and they offer the most aggressive pay structure in Tallahassee. They also offer medical, 401k, paid time off and vacation, paid training, and they're family-owned and operated for almost 20 years. Please apply in person at 3987 West Tennessee Street and see Eddie Kent. Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram is an equal opportunity employer.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Geico presents eyewitness interviews with inanimate objects.
This is Belinda Collins, live on the scene of a recent hailstorm. Here to describe the event, a football.
Bro, I was just hanging on the roof when this gnarly storm starts dropping baseball-sized hail. I mean, the shingles got beat up. A few windows looked broken. It was savage.
Did you do anything to help?
Nah, bro. I was in survival mode.
Your football can't help you in a hailstorm, but the Geico Insurance Agency can help you get covered for personal property damage. Call Geico to see how affordable homeowners insurance can be.
In general, I'm a win-win guy. When I have to spend hours searching for the right part, it's lose-lose. It's time lost for me and lost time for my crew. That's why I order from Grainger. With product experts that have the answers to my toughest questions, an easy-to-use website to help me find the right product quickly, I can rely on Grainger to make getting supplies for my business as simple and seamless as possible. When it comes to getting things done, it's a win-win when Grainger's got your back. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
All right. Could Louis Anderson, the comedian?
Louis Anderson.
Yeah, I like good old fat Louis.
He was awesome. He is awesome.
Yeah, he's not dead. Louis is fine.
No,
he's
John
actually
Candy.
in a show. Yeah, John Candy's been dead for years.
Man, John Candy was great.
He was great. I think of Louis Anderson as a guy that could never win a fight against anything or anybody. Super sweet, jolly guy, but doesn't look like he has any kind of... He has no squabbles.
I bet he could beat John Panette in a fight.
Could he beat a boar? A wild boar?
A wild boar?
Yeah, not a tame one. Could he beat a boar?
No.
It would. No. That'd be a quick fight.
That would be, well...
Boars, I think they eat you, too, afterwards.
Oh, they'll eat you.
They eat you.
Everything.
That's the best thing about a boar.
That's why you can never trust people that have pigs, man.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
This message brought to you by the Florida Lottery Players Guide. We would like to remind you to always play responsibly, which means know your limits. When playing, make sure to set a budget and then stick to it. Use only your discretionary income on games and don't spend more than you can afford. Learn more helpful tips and information about responsible gaming at playersguide.flalottery.com. Must be 18 or older to play. And, of course, play responsibly.
Well, would you look at this goodness? Our friends at For the Table Hospitality are doing the right thing per usual. It's time for the 4th annual Tallahassee Wine Mixer and Mozfest. Tallahassee's best wine festival is back for another year right there in the shadow of beautiful Doak Campbell Stadium. The date is Saturday, March the 7th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Centrale Pizza, Parm, and Bar. VIP tickets are just $60 and feature unlimited wine sampling, unlimited charcuterie, ooh, fancy, unlimited mozzarella cheese, oh, forget about it, this is good stuff, unlimited games and a commemorative glass to boot. 2020 is going to be the best Tallahassee wine mixer yet. We'd certainly like to thank our friends at Visit Tallahassee for all of their help. For tickets, go to eventbrite.com and search Tallahassee Wine Mixer.
Tallahassee, it's Chuck Oliver, the king of college football, and you can join me every weekday at 1 p.m. right here on Tallahassee Sports Monster. We talk nothing but college football every day from Tallahassee to Tuscaloosa, Athens to Auburn, and everywhere in between. That's the Chuck Oliver Show, weekdays at 1 p.m. on our new home in Tallahassee, 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Monster.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Some birds just sit
useless. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good luck to Trey McKinney, who will be playing his football for Georgia. UGA gets a good one. I think Trey's got the chance to be a real good player at the next level if he can become more consistent as a receiver. Dropped too many passes this year. Also seemed to struggle with certain routes over his career. But how much of that is just the inconsistencies of having to play for a different offensive coordinator every year?
I would think that our strength and conditioning program is going to get a lot better. I hope at least. We haven't had a good one. It's like special teams. We could use a good one for once. But what happens to his body when he gets into the Athens machine, I'll be interested to see because they have a lot to work with. It's a huge guy.
Yeah, and I'm torn on this because I really hate that we did not get out of Trey McKitty what I think was possible. It's a shame, like so many guys, that he chose to come here at the time that he did because obviously this has been a cluster you-know-what for the last 3 years. And I feel like there are a lot of guys that we did. I mean, unfortunately, we were talking about it at length now. We somehow salvaged it in the form of Marvin Wilson to come back. But we thought at the time he's gone, and my God, damn it, what a waste.
Boy, if this coach stinks, then he's really screwed as the worst tenure of any Knoll.
But Cam Akers and others have really been screwed over, right? And so you hate that. But I feel like Trey McKitty could have really been something special. I wish him the best at Georgia. I got no problems there. I mean, the one thing that I don't like, the reason I say I'm torn, I don't like to lose good players, period. But, Norvell uses the tight end. They average over 30 catches a year the last 4 years with the tight end. So he was going to be used. But I get it. When you've been through the ringer, you want a chance to win now. There's probably not much somebody can tell you.
I'm just intrigued to see what that offense is going to look like with Newman at the helm. Did he get assurances from Georgia that he could run an offense that he knows a lot of? Like, with the mesh point being a 6-second decision area? Or is it something where he wanted to go to Georgia because he wanted to learn something that would prepare him for the league? Maybe a combination of the two.
Probably a combination of the two.
But it will be very interesting to see those two high-caliber transfers integrated into the Georgia system as they try to keep Florida down and away from the SEC title game.
Well, they've recruited in a way that should allow them to do exactly that. They have been an elite organization when it comes to recruiting. In fact, when you look at the number of 5-stars they have and then you combine all the other 5-stars together in the East, you see that Georgia's running away with the recruiting battles. They are positioned nicely to win and win big for many years to come. For Florida State, the chance to bring in, quote-unquote, House Gaines, a defensive end who did not play a year ago for Virginia Tech, had 4.5 sacks the year previous, and then he had an injury, torn ACL late in 2018, and now he's visiting Florida State. Did visit Florida State over the weekend. Okay.
This is very much clicky pen season. Like I enjoyed getting to see and meet the coaches last week, and I look forward to the relationship of openness, hopefully, that this group has as we head into
I think you're seeing it right now with the amount of articles for the guys on the beat. I mean, really sit-downs with all of our coaches.
I just want to see a program that develops and makes more out of the kids that we get when they arrive on campus.
Oh, without question.
Because we're not going to get those grad transfers at the 5-star level or the All-American level right now. Mm-mm. But what we need, unfortunately, and nobody wants to hear it, we need to have like an Oakland Athletics, Tampa Bay Rays kind of mentality where we could still go get a player or two here or there. And, of course, Florida State will be able to be attracted to 4-star recruits. But you've got to be able to play above the level of kid that we're bringing in currently in order to compete with the top end of college football and to change some kids' minds.
The idea being that you saw some of that already with the great success strung together by Mike Norvell at Memphis. You don't win as many games as they do, as consistently as they do, if you aren't developing players and properly utilizing players and their skill sets within your system. If you aren't capable of punching above your weight class and developing players to reach their potential. I think there's reason for an awful lot of optimism right now. And I think it's interesting when you talk to people, and I did over the weekend, that cover other programs, there's a real sense that Florida State got it right. Now, we'll see. You're right. It's a big we'll see. But when you talk to people in the recruiting world or people that cover other programs in the ACC or other programs in the SEC, the footprint in which we're recruiting, you'll hear a lot of people from outside this program. And right now I'm relying on that because, listen, they've won over the people that cover this program with the access being granted already, okay? But when you talk to those other people that look at this staff, the makeup of this staff, how they'll recruit, what they've done in player development, the places they've been regionally but also within the Power 5, the sense is, okay, looks like Florida State woke up, got it together. And, of course, they're not happy about that. I mean, if you're covering a program or you're an alumnus of a program and, you got to compete against Florida State, you're like, damn it, looks like they might have got it right, They wish they would have hung on to their guy another year, and it's been a little customary to hold on to a guy for 3 or 4 years before you let him go. It's like when Florida finally fired Muschamp, we were like, damn, should have given him another year, guys. Same with McElwain.
Same thing for McElwain.
Yeah. We're like, should have given him another year.
That wasn't him with the shark.
What are you doing?
Come on.
10 games, he's winning.
And they were waiting for an excuse. The death threat thing, they were like, we're saved.
He gave it to him. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Jim.
Dumbass. But yeah, so then when it happened, they were like, they pounced. They saw what? We got you.
With cause.
Peace. You got to go. But anyhow, so there's a lot of people out there, and this always gives you, you take a little solace in this. When you hear other people who are outside the program, don't have a vested interest in Florida State's success or not, are like, I think you guys may have gotten it right. More and more people within the football world are saying that. I think that's true. I think certainly you would tag him as an up-and-coming coach with a plan, a staff that is pretty eclectic. It's exciting. But I'm doing much as you're doing and describing. Like, okay, all right. And there's just nothing you can do now. I mean, tonight we're going to sit back and watch two teams operating at peak efficiency, dominating college football. Clemson certainly has been. That's what it looks like when you're fully realized and when you've got something working and sustained for a period of time. But time is all you have. There's nothing you can do to accelerate where we want to be.
Right.
And, you got to play it out.
It's the devil's advocate thing. Like maybe you've developed kids at an incredible level for the AAC, so you can beat Cincinnati and USF and UCF, and that's all well and good. Mm-hmm. But that's the baseline of how they develop kids at Clemson, LSU, Alabama, Georgia, you name it. And so you're only, okay, that's fine. You're on the ground floor, but you've got so much more to do, and you've got a talent gap to try and close up in 4 years. That's the hard part of the job. That's why this is a job that, it's not a retool on the fly, as Willie said in his opening press conference a couple of years ago. Not even close to that. So you got to beat the Louisville's, NC States, and Virginia's and coastal teams of the world. At least take that step.
Just win the games you're supposed to win next year. Maybe surprise somebody, and you'll be allowed to recruit a higher caliber of athlete across the board, which then in earnest begins to change the fate and the possibilities of Florida State football.
You got to get lucky a little bit along the way. I mean, Miami didn't parlay it into anything with Richt. Start 10-0. You get primetime games at home against Notre Dame and Virginia Tech, and you boat race those two teams. You end the streak against Florida State. You have some thrilling ends to games like the one against Georgia Tech. You have no business winning, but you do. So there's mystique in the air, and you parlay that into what? You're not even the head coach within 2 years.
If you're talking about which program has the greater upside as we sit here today, I think we both would agree, and I think, if you're a Miami fan, if you're being reasonable, I think you see it too, that it's Florida State. They don't have the right guy at the helm right now at Miami. They also don't have elite facilities. So this is 20 years now we're watching that program.
The hard part for Willie is we didn't get those breaks that he could allow himself and his recruiting staff to go up and get them. Oh, no, he didn't. Of course not. Of course not.
Don't blow a 20-point lead on the road in the second half against your
Jesus. You don't need a break there. You've gotten them.
Yeah, you've gotten everything you needed at that point. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
C1816186.
Roberts Elementary School is proud to host the 11th annual 2020 Trent 10K, formerly the Trent Trot, in honor of Trent McElroy, a Roberts fourth grader who lost his battle to childhood cancer in 2013. All proceeds from the race go to the Trent's Touch Foundation, which supports local families battling pediatric cancer. Foundation has supported 45-plus families to this date. The race is a longtime community favorite and is being held at Roberts Elementary School on January 25th, 2020. The 1-mile fun run starts at 8 a.m. and the 10K and 5K begin at 8:30 a.m. The 10K and 1-mile race are both Gulfwind's Grand Prix events. You can register online at Eventbrite.com. Search Trent 10K.
Milwaukee and Cornerstone Tool and Fastener are nothing but heavy duty. Purchase a Milwaukee M18 Fuel Brushless Impact Hammer Drill Kit and get your choice of a free M18 Fuel Sawzall or M18 Fuel High Output 8.0 battery, a $199 value. Or buy an M18 Fuel 4-piece brushless pack-out kit with a rolling toolbox for only $4.99. A Cornerstone special. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, the largest Milwaukee selection in the area. Big store pricing with local service. 1110 Stuckey Ave or 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code, Football Edition. This is how you say, game tonight. Bring Bud Light. Fantasy fees are due. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light, crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Today on Hey Culligan, smoother skin for the win. We've got Claire in Delaware.
Hey Culligan, the water in my shower makes my skin feel like I'm 90.
Okay, first off, Claire, are you 90?
No.
Okay, second, how do you feel about high-efficiency water softeners from Culligan? Actually, Claire, how do you feel about smoother skin and luxurious hair?
Oh my gosh, love it, have to have it.
OMG indeed, Claire. We're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with a local Culligan water expert at heyculligan.com.
It may not be stomach issues.
For me, it's intense gas, or pain, or diarrhea, sometimes all at once, over and over.
I spent years with the symptoms, but could never figure it out.
No matter what I did, they never went away. So I decided to break it down for my doctor and get really specific about my symptoms.
We discovered that exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, may be the reason for my stomach issues.
EPI is caused by my pancreas. It leads to diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools. The symptoms just don't go away.
But EPI can show up with even one symptom.
The good news? EPI is manageable.
But to get to the right diagnosis, you have to break it down for your doctor and get specific about the severity of your symptoms.
Visit identifyepi.com to learn more and use the symptom checker to help change the conversation with your doctor. Brought to you by AbbVie.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Oye, amigo, it is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
Stugart was saying how funny it would have been, since clearly the NFL hates the Saints, if they had gone to replay and the official said, upon further review, it was pass interference on the Saints, mother bleepers, and then just ran off the field.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Widden Glass has been taking care of business since 1945. When you call Widden Glass, you're dealing with experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best. Like Widden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures that provide style and luxury at an affordable price. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Widden Glass. We'll help you design it and install it. Widden Glass, the first name in glass replacement. Call 222-5781.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
If you're If you're a Texans fan, I'm still thinking about that. Ooh. 24-0. We're going to the AFC Championship game, baby.
If I was a Texans fan, I'd be asking today, we can fire him, right? Like, we're allowed to now?
Yeah, I saw where their beat reporter, I'm forgetting his name now, does a great job covering the Texans. Oh, McClain, I think.
John McClain.
He said, I know what you guys, he said after the game, I know what you guys are thinking. They're not going to fire him. But he knew what the fans were like, this guy. It's just the inconsistency in mindset, too. It's like, listen, that's a hell of a tackle on the fake punt. If you get the first down there, everybody's like, there you go, way to be aggressive. But then you don't go for it on 4th and inches. So you have this situation where it seems like it's willy-nilly. There's no real pattern of thought here.
Did a name pop up into your brain when he decided to kick it?
The Pitt coach? Narduzzi?
Steve Adazio. You're up big early. You've got a chance.
I tend to lay blame more on coaches I don't have a personal relationship with.
Steve Adazio, 2013. You keep the foot on the gas, sir. What the hell are you doing? 24 is not going to do it. You need more points than that to get out of there alive.
Well, and you heard some of the players and coaches say it after the game. They knew they were going to have to score in the 40s bare minimum to win. As it turned out, they would have had to score in the 50s, but if that's the mentality going into the game and you've already had these kinds of conversations behind closed doors, then you're not kicking a field goal there. I mean,
They call a timeout to do it, too.
Well, he also was about to punt with 10 minutes left in the game and then had to think better of it. I'm sure somebody got in his ear and went, yeah, that's not the play, my man. We've got to score. And then he wasted a timeout there and went for it.
Well, didn't Pete Carroll punt last night in a ridiculous situation inside of 3 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
The hell are you doing? Or inside of 4 at least.
Should have got the stop. He's short. But I will say this, that when you look at the one view, you realize that the yellow line's not where he's trying to get
not
to.
Even close.
They've got that wrong. That's not
They have it
proper.
wrong by a foot and a half.
Certainly at least 8 inches, somewhere in that area. I mean, it's not right. Either way, I thought that one of the things, and that's the game that's probably going to be least talked about, understandably, but you continue to watch the kinds of things that Russell Wilson does. I just think if I'm Seattle, why do you begin these games even pretending like you're going to run the ball? You're not going to be – Marshawn Lynch was retired. Just stop. Just go do what Russell did after you got way down. Let that dude be what that guy is, which is a freak. Just extending plays, making throws.
The most annoying player in the league.
Oh, my God. If he's on your team, you love him because you're never out of it. And they weren't. You're never out of it because of that guy. Even with all the flaws that team has, they're never out of it because of him. You know that, man. You know what you have in him. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the best 3 quarterbacks in the league. Let him just go do what he does while he's in his prime. Don't get bogged down with this tradition. Oh, we got to run the ball. No. Run around, man. Let him run around. Guy's unbelievable. He's unreal.
And the difference there is, of course, people are getting home to him. People are getting into the pocket. Whereas like Aaron Rodgers is sitting back there. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose.
Days
to not allow him to break the pocket. But
Rodgers threw some passes in that game that were reminiscent of Aaron Rodgers in his prime.
Yeah.
Just beautiful flicks to lead and on the run. Just a couple of amazing tosses from
the
him.
First quarter touchdown to Adams, and then the play to get the first down, the key one to Adams.
Yeah.
I mean, dude.
Oh boy, he runs out of bounds. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Did you hear Aaron after the game?
Yeah, he mentioned it. He was still on his mind in the post-game presser.
How angry was he? They just win a key game. They're one game away from going to the Super Bowl, and my man takes the time to mention that he wishes he hadn't run out of bounds. That means he was furious in the moment.
And that means that there's a history there. He hates Jimmy Graham, hates the football player, doesn't like his IQ. That is practice frustration boiling over into a game. It's about not preparing. All that. That's James being pissed at Perryman. Because now you're petty about it. You wouldn't be if he did everything right in practice during the week.
But he's right because that set up that extra third down that they had to convert at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't happen if my man stays in bounds, which is just funny. I just think it's funny to be at the dais after a big win like that and to take the time to go, I really wish he hadn't run out of bounds.
Oh, did he say that at the presser? Because he certainly did Aaron Andrews on the field. I watched the Aaron Andrews
he brought
interview.
it up again, yeah.
Huge catch for Jimmy. I was really glad for him there. This is a team he used to play for. Wish he stayed in bounds for the play. But just a huge win I mean, that is like
he gets a second huge catch though. That's
in the heat of the moment.
I know. It's eating at him. Well, we always talk about the great ones, and there's a red acid quality to them, right? They're red acids.
Red acid, yes.
Yeah, there's a red acidness to the way they go about their business. Real quick, I referenced it a moment ago, but I should go back to it here because it's a huge developing story in Major League Baseball with Jeff Passan doing the best work that I've seen so far. If you're searching for the insight into what's going on here, go to Twitter, follow Jeff Passan, and he's just at Jeff Passan. Not that I'm not his agent. He just does real good work. Secondarily,
at ESPN Greeny, at ESPN Greeny.
Secondarily, you could just go to ESPN.com because he works for them, and you'll find the pieces that are there now. But Jim Crane, the owner's Astro, has now fired Hinch, as well as Jeff Lanau, the GM. And those two had been suspended, and in the case of Hinch, for the foreseeable future. One thing that for over a year. One thing you'll notice, though, and Tom, maybe later we can talk about this. It's interesting. The suspensions begin today, so Hinch would have been eligible to come back after the World Series this next year. Secondarily, I would say the reports that I've had a little bit of time to read, because this is all happening right before we come on, it looks like A.J. Hinch was telling them to stop doing it. To stop, he was against it to the point where he was disabling the monitors they were using. Damn, Major League Baseball is, I'll just say this. If that's the suspension for A.J. Hinch, Cora is done. Because they're still the Red Sox are doing an internal investigation still, and MLB has to wait till that's done. But if they came down hard on a guy who was telling the team to stop doing it, what are they going to do with Cora?
Imagine
he was orchestrating it.
Imagine being involved in that investigation in the Red Sox organization, and you're not done yet, and this news drops.
Oh,
God.
Well, you might as well walk in there and give him a hug and say you're out.
If I was the owner, the ownership group, or the president of the team, I'd walk in and say, if you cut corners, fix that now.
Oh, right.
Go back
right.
over, and I want you to do it again.
Yeah, because these guys aren't fooling around.
You may like Mary in accounting, but here's the problem. That just happened to a man who was against it.
Yeah.
So let's make those corners keep them intact.
I think you fire him. I think you're done here.
A preemptive firing?
Oh, what are we doing?
You may want to wait for it so you have a cleaner excuse from a PR standpoint.
I guess there's a financial implication to all of that, and I mean.
Oh, yeah, probably from a contractual standpoint, too. For cause type thing.
There is, but I mean.
Alex, what are we doing?
You losing your job is what you're doing, Alex. Thanks for the title. But
really appreciate the work you did here. We won't be asking for any of your past salary back.
No.
I can promise you that.
Ira Chappelle is going to join us next. I look forward to talking to him. Great piece on warchant.com about Leonard Hamilton and see why he sat down and interviewed him. So you're gonna want to go read that article if you haven't yet. But I'm excited to talk to him about it. By the way, Florida State moved up to number 9. We got the big game on Wednesday against Virginia. Ira joins us next. Stay tuned.
Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, and let us put our reputation to work for you.
Wahoo Seafood Grill, Tallahassee's leader in fresh seafood, is located right behind the Best Western on North Monroe. Lunch specials start at $7.99. Be sure to try their award-winning house-made burger. Big lunch parties are also welcome. Wahoo Seafood Grill makes lunch specials a very affordable choice. Delivery is available and plenty of parking. Wahoo Seafood Grill, easy access from any part of town using I-10. Visit them online at wahooseafoodgrill.com or call them today at 850-629-4059.
One of my favorite things about being a member at Orange Theory Fitness is the sense of community. Initially, after taking the tour and seeing the state-of-the-art equipment, I was intrigued. I became convinced even once I researched the science-backed, technology-tracked, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Well, would you look at this goodness? Our friends at For the Table Hospitality are doing the right thing per usual. It's time for the 4th annual Tallahassee Wine Mixer and Mozfest. Tallahassee's best wine festival is back for another year right there in the shadow of beautiful Doak Campbell Stadium. The date is Saturday, March the 7th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Centrale Pizza, Parm, and Bar. VIP tickets are just $60 and feature unlimited wine sampling, unlimited charcuterie, ooh, fancy, unlimited mozzarella cheese, oh, forget about it, this is good stuff, unlimited games and a commemorative glass to boot. 2020 is going to be the best Tallahassee wine mixer yet. We'd certainly like to thank our friends at Visit Tallahassee for all of their help. For tickets, go to eventbrite.com and search Tallahassee Wine Mixer.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Are you starting a new business or expanding your business? Looking for the right general contractor to assist you with a tenant space build-out? Look no further. From restaurant to retail, we have the experience to work with you. At T-Spark Enterprises, we are ready to be a part of your vision and build a space that exceeds your expectations. Whether you're looking for design build or build from your own design, give us a call today for a free consultation. As the owner of T-Spark Enterprises, I guarantee when it comes to your business space, we only provide picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336. All right. Could Louis Anderson, the comedian?
Louis Anderson.
Yeah, I like good old fat Louis.
He was awesome. He is awesome.
Yeah, he's not dead. Louis is fine.
No,
he's
John
actually
Candy.
in a show. Yeah, John Candy's been dead for years.
Man, John Candy was great.
He was great. I think of Louis Anderson as a guy that could never win a fight against anything or anybody. Super sweet, jolly guy, but doesn't look like he has any kind of... He has no squabbles.
I bet he could beat John Panette in a fight.
Could he beat a boar? A wild boar?
A wild boar?
Yeah, not a tame one. Could he beat a boar?
No.
It would. No. That'd be a quick fight.
That would be, well...
Boars, I think they eat you, too, afterwards.
Oh, they'll eat you.
They eat you.
Everything.
That's the best thing about a boar.
That's why you can never trust people that have pigs, man.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news. Astros GM Jeff Luhnow and manager A.J. Hinch were fired after MLB announced earlier today they were suspended for the 2020 season for the team's use of technology to cheat during its World Series winning season in 2017. Astros will also be fined $5 million and forfeit their first and second round draft picks in 2020 and 2021. ESPN's Jeff Passan reports discipline for Red Sox manager Alex Cora. Houston's bench coach in 2017 is coming and will be harsh. Game day for LSU and Clemson finally here. They clash in the national title game tonight. Clemson QB Trevor Lawrence, perfect 29-0. If LSU's going to win a title and finally be the team to hand him a loss, he needs to feel the heat, says ESPN's Mark Sanchez.
One of the most important things you've got to do is get pressure on him with just 4 or 5 defenders without blitzing the whole farm, because you leave yourself susceptible to one-on-one matchups across the board. You don't want to do that with their playmakers and their abilities. And also, you got to make him go through his entire progression. You got to make him earn it.
Our Mark Sanchez.
Straight Talk Wireless runs on the same 4G LTE networks for up to half the cost. Get the unlimited plan with up to 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G for just $45 a month. No contract. Straight Talk Wireless. Only at Walmart.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Hope you're doing well. Good Monday to you. Hope you had a great weekend. Excited about the national championship game tonight. Excited about FSU basketball this week against Virginia. Good times right now. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. If you do, go back, get caught up. We'll post all 3 hours of the program on iTunes as well as in our own audio vault. Email us, jcs at 97.espnradio.com. Hello, YouTubers and Periscopers. Let's bring in our friend, as we're wont to do on Mondays, Irash Fell of warchant.com. Wrote a great piece. I want to preface before we talk to him. If you have not had an opportunity to go to warchant.com and read his latest article involving Charlton Young, CY, and his thoughts on Leonard Hamilton and the FSU basketball program and how we've arrived where we have at this point of the season with Florida State nestled comfortably in the top 10, etc. Do yourself a favor and go read it. It's long form and it's excellent, and it really does make you appreciate this program even more. And now Ira joins us on the program right now. Hello, good sir.
Well, thanks, man. And just in case anybody, since we're pimping it, I made it free, so you don't have to have a subscription to read it. You can just read it. It's not. We don't. A lot of times, basketball stuff we won't make premium like the recruiting or football stuff. So anybody can read it, but I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for the plug.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it. I think that your insight here and getting CY's insight as well, obviously, is valued. I think people, one of the things it does for me, and I'm a big supporter and fan. And my opinion of Leonard Hamilton has been a positive one for a very long time. As a man, it's unquestionable what he's been able to do with his life and what he's done for so many others in his life. And anybody really that is in his orbit benefits greatly just to be around him. That's a given. But what I really like about articles like this one, and when you have an opportunity to hear assistants talk, I know Stan Jones has in the past as well, and Gates did as well. But to me, it sums up not only the principles, but the wins. Ira, the man is winning a lot of basketball games in the best conference in America. And when you go back and you look where this was, 5 years ago and where it is now, you really do. You can see the through line, and it really, CY did a good job of laying this out there, of why it is they think they're on the cusp of winning a national championship. Like, I still believe that most of us, if you're a Knoll, are really pleased with Leonard Hamilton and what he's been able to do, especially these last few years. Obviously, it's hard to argue with that. But I don't think that we can put our minds in the place to where we'd say, yeah, this is a preeminent program in the best conference in America with a shot at winning a national title in the near future. Like, taking that next step, I think, is very difficult for most fans, including myself. But when you look at the numbers, as you documented here, and you listen to CY, lay it out there in your article on warchant.com, you really do begin to ask yourself, well, why the hell can't they? They really can. The consistency's there.
Yeah, it really is. I think there's two different things. And I think we touched on it, is, there's a perception of Florida State basketball from the Florida State fan base and media, which actually probably sees Florida State basketball in a slightly worse light than maybe the rest of the college basketball world does. Certainly the basketball players at age 20 and below. We still carry around so much baggage about Florida State basketball from years past that, his point was, man, you talk to Trent Forrest, you talk to Patrick Williams, you talk to Devin Vassell, and try to tell them that Florida State's a mid-level program or a notch below, and they look at you like you're crazy. Like, that's not the Florida State basketball they know. They know Malik Beasley and Dwayne Bacon and Jonathan Isaac and Trent Forrest and Pete Camingelli and Terrence Mann, and and they know winning, and they know going to the ACC championship game, and they know beating Virginia by 10 points a couple weeks before they win the national title. And so their perception is totally different. And, I think that's one part of it. The other part of it is, you look at how they've done it, and really they've transformed, what they do on the offensive side of the basketball, which we've all talked about and we've seen over the last few years. But when you add that with the defensive philosophy, and you add that to the recruiting acumen of a CY and the rest of the staff and Leonard Hamilton, you kind of see how it all comes together, and you get to this product where, 2 years ago, if they beat Michigan, and I think they were right there in that game. I think, Trent was a little bit banged up, and they ended up, had some things. Michigan played a great game. Florida State didn't win the game. But if they had won that game in the Elite Eight, now you're playing that Loyola Chicago team, which was, a sweetheart, but you're probably going to roll past them, and then you're in the national championship game. And then last year, again, Phil Kofer doesn't have his situation. First of all, his injuries during the season, or before the season, then his father passing, and then David Nichols going out during the tournament. That's a team that probably goes to the Final Four as well. Now, once you get to that weekend, and that's something that Stan Jones has talked a lot about, the associate head coach, if you just get to that Final Four, that's really, you can talk about national championships all you want. Your goal needs to be just getting to that Final Four, because if you get there, then really anything can happen. You just got to win 2 games.
And they were knocking on the door, and you're right, and a lot of us feel a sense of frustration about you mentioned that Nichols gets hurt, and that really hurt the team. And Phil Kofer, who was battling injuries all year long, then has the tragic set of circumstances in which he loses his father, and this team was greatly affected by all of that. And yet, we are at a place where, at the very least, no matter what you think of what this program's capabilities are or whether or not they will reach that Final Four, the fact that we can talk about it without snickering, without chuckling, suggests that they've come an awful long way. I would also say that, you describe the way that the coaching staff works together in the article, and CY talks about what Leonard affords them the opportunity to do. It does seem to me that Leonard's approach and the freedoms that he gives his coaches, coupled with his unwavering principles for his players and his program as a whole, I think engenders a real passion and love for the man that would see assistant coaches and players alike run through a wall for Leonard Hamilton. And because you make reference to it, and CY does as well, part of winning a national title is you got to get a little bit lucky, but you have to have a team that both believes but would do anything for each other and for the program and for the staff. And that Florida team had something special when they won back-to-back. They loved each other, and they loved the program, and they loved what they had built. You do get a sense that Leonard has fostered that same sort of love and passion for one another, for the coaches and for the university, that could see them maybe excel and find a way to get past in those darkest and toughest moments of the season.
Man, I agree 100%. And there was, if I had written this article and if people read it, they'll understand what I'm saying here. I actually did a similar interview with CY 4 years ago, and all the assistant coaches on the staff and Leonard Hamilton, but ended up not publishing it because that season I did these interviews. And the interview that's on War Chant today is a new interview. But I interviewed him and the rest of the staff 4 years ago when they signed Beasley and Bacon and that class with the idea, and Terrence Mann, with the idea of, how did you guys do this? Everybody thought you were going to get fired. And all of a sudden you've gone out and you've signed 3 big-time players, plus you have Jonathan Isaac already committed for the following year, who's going to be a lottery pick. And in that article, when I still have the transcripts of the interviews, they talked a lot about that, what you're talking about, and why the assistant coaches love Leonard Hamilton so much. It is because he lets them, when they get the scouting report for a game, it's their game. Like CY got the scouting report for Louisville or Florida, and it's his game. He's the one that watches all the film. He's the one that prepares the scouting report. He's the one that leads the meetings. And I thought, one of the comments CY made in that article that was kind of revealing was he said, maybe sometimes he gives us too much freedom because they've made mistakes. There have been times in games over the last 15, 20 years, Leonard Hamilton's been at Florida State, where maybe if Leonard was micromanaging, they might not have made him, mistake that they made. But he wants to give those assistant coaches that freedom, and I think it pays off in the back end. And I think one of the other things we didn't touch on in that article was just the philosophy of all 18 guys or 16 or 17 or 18 guys being equals on that team. And you can say it all you want. You can talk about players being family and players treating each other. I have personally never seen in my, almost 30 years of doing this, I've never seen a program where when you see the best player hanging out with a walk-on that never gets on the court, you would think they're best friends. Like, it's not like, hey, I'm paying lip service to being friends with the walk-ons or nice to the managers. Literally, they all believe that they're all equal, and that's rare, man, but that has to come through the culture.
2 years ago, I think it was a game, I can't recall the team that Florida State was facing, but the Noles were boat racing that team. I want to say it was Georgia Tech, but I'm not sure. And all the guys came in off the bench, all the walk-ons, everybody that never gets an opportunity to play. And I bring this up to say this. There was a moment late in the game where one of those guys scored a bucket, a particularly difficult bucket. It was a nice little move underneath the basket, and he laid it in, reverse. And the bench exploded. All the starters are jumping around like they had just won a conference title, and you could see it was genuine joy. Like they were so happy for those guys because they knew the work that they had put in to see them rewarded in some capacity. Because when your name goes on the ledger in a stat sheet in a college basketball game, it's there for life. They can never take that away from you. And those guys know what that means to these kids who maybe aren't as talented but give it their all every day in practice. So when you see that, it really is beautiful. It's what's great about competition, and it's certainly what's great about what Leonard Hamilton has been able to build here. And I will go on to say that, I think it's interesting. I think in another article you've done previously on Leonard Hamilton, he affords those coaches those freedoms because he got them when he was at Kentucky and Austin Peay. And he always appreciated that, right? Always felt like, oh, well, if I ever get the chance, I'll give back in the same way. It's cool to see him, because that was a long time ago. That's the 70s, dating back to the 70s into the 80s. And he's carried it with him ever since he's become a head coach at this level. It's amazing.
Yeah, and going back to the point you were making before about the walk-ons, and it's not just the walk-ons. Sometimes what really impresses me, and really impressed me last season when they went into the tournament, especially when Nichols got hurt and when Phil Kofer had to take his leave of absence. He was at a game but didn't play after his father's passing, was the way that some of those guys stepped up that are scholarship guys but didn't play a whole lot. Anthony Polite, Wyatt Wilkes, even Turk, even Raekwon Gray, who hadn't been playing a ton, really stepped up late in the season. And what was impressive to me about that is so often, especially in the age of the transfer portal, when kids aren't playing a lot, they're not getting 25, 30 minutes a game, they're not even getting 15 or 20 minutes a game.
They want out.
You see them languish on the bench and then kind of check out. And the way that those guys stay engaged, and then I was so impressive that I remember talking to Stan Jones and the other staff members about it, and they said that Leonard has a detailed plan for every single player, even the walk-ons, even the guys at the end of the bench, about what they can do. What can you do to contribute? What can you do to help us get to where we want to be? And we're going to work on those things, and that if your time is ever called, if your number is ever called, you'll be ready to do it. And I think that's, again, it just speaks to the whole thing. And, and I think one of the things CY was saying was when you add all of that together, when you add the culture, when you add the defensive principles, when you add what Leonard is as a human being and what he embodies for his program, what he saw when he came here 7 years ago is, man, if you could just bring in a little more talent. And he said it a couple times. He really emphasized little. It's not like we need to go from, it's not like we don't have anybody, but we just need a little more talent, then you might have something really special. And I think, we could be seeing that right now.
Yeah, it's interesting to be able to be in a position to take for granted that Florida State sits within the top 10 currently, and there are programs, obviously, that are blue bloods, that are annual contenders to go to the Final Four or certainly the Elite Eight or maybe even win national championships because of their stature in the sport and their ability to recruit the creme de la creme of high school basketball. and they're outside looking at Florida State. I mean, one of them right off the bat is, you look at Kentucky, ranked below Florida State. You look at Louisville, who they went and beat on the road. You look at
North Carolina.
North Carolina, I mean, that's embarrassing what's going on there. It's not like Roy doesn't have players, but oh my goodness, if you don't have the 5 best players on the floor, you can't coach them up, Roy. So, you're seeing this right now, and it is something to behold, and we shouldn't take it for granted. I probably harp on it too much. I talk about it a lot, but I do think it's human nature. We kind of just we have a tendency to not really appreciate when you're in the midst of something, whether it's a great moment or a cool sentiment or a game itself. And I think that's true of seasons in general and in program stature at a given time. Where Florida State sits now, because of how productive they've been and how consistent, more importantly, they've been over the last 3 years, we now just safely assume, they're going to the tournament. And it's noted in the article. But, I think it's something to smile about and take time to reflect on. I love walking into seasons after the kind of turnover that Florida State just had. When you're losing guys to the NBA, guys that are experienced, who are not only elite, but guys that have contributed, when you're talking about points and rebounds and minutes, to the extent that Florida State did, and now to be sitting there at 14-2 ranked in the top 10, that's absurd. That is a testament to that kind of consistency in recruiting and coaching.
Well, no doubt. And it also speaks to that difference in perceptions outside the program and inside the program.
Yep.
And when talking to CY, he was so mad about the fact that they were not ranked in the preseason. And he's like, look, you saw us last year. It's not like we didn't have anybody coming back. We had a senior in Trent Forrest, a junior in MJ Walker, Devin Vassell, Raekwon Graham. We have players coming back. Plus, we brought in Patrick Williams, who was a 5-star. It's just, how do we end up being unranked where a team like Florida, who we beat 5 straight times, now 6 straight times, comes in the top 10? It's just like, why can't people outside see what we see inside? So I think it's like 2 different worlds. There's the world inside that program and what they see, and then the world outside. But one of the things he talked about, and I didn't get into great detail about it, but I've had some conversations with just some other people in the media, and I'd be curious your take since I wrote the article. Perceptions of Leonard Hamilton as a coach, not just as a program builder or as a guy who assembles talent, but as an actual X and O's coach. And CY's point that I thought he made eloquently in the article was, look, we won 29 games last year. You don't win 29 games in what's supposed to be the best conference in the history of basketball without being able to coach, without knowing what you're doing from an X and O standpoint. And it seems like, to me, there's still a perception that Leonard Hamilton is not viewed that way. He's still viewed as a recruiter and as a program builder, but not necessarily a guy in-game that can help you win a basketball game. And I think that conversation still needs to be had. He's getting respect now. There's no doubt Leonard Hamilton is getting respect as a program builder. I don't know that he's ever gotten that kind of respect as an in-game coach.
It's a complicated issue, one that does involve race, but also one that involves his choices. When you take over Oklahoma State, Miami, you go and coach for just a year with the Washington Wizards, and that's a disaster. And then you take over Florida State. You have not coached as a head coach at places like Kansas or Kentucky or Duke. And so I don't think you get your just due in that sense, because you spend so much time building a program to where they can be where Florida State's at now, where you can find some consistency and go to the tournament year in and year out, that you're often ignored because you're not in a place that is highlighted every week because of their history. And I think so. He spent a lot of time building programs and getting Miami to where they were so good in the Big East, winning an entire season without losing a road game in the conference at the time, which was the greatest conference we'd ever seen assembled before this one. And those were all major accomplishments. But I think at that time, again, he was doing something that Miami had never done. And people don't look at Miami that way. And people certainly don't look at Florida State that way. So I think
what's funny about it, though, is like, you remember for how many years, maybe the first 5-6 years he was here, the narrative was they couldn't win in game situations. They couldn't win in crunch time. They would get close, but they didn't draw it up well enough or whatever it is. And it's interesting now that when you get players, when you get guys,
now it's just you got good players.
Basket,
yeah.
What's their record now in their last? It's like 13-2 in their last 15 one-possession games, something like that. FSU put that stat out there. It might be better than that. It's basically like 14 or 15-2 in one-possession games over the last couple of years. And again, I just think we give so much credit, we in the media and fans, to the Mike Krzyzewskis, the Buzz Williamses, the coaches. You know, we say, oh, well, they're great X's and O's guys, and their guys make shots at the end of games. I mean, look, the Cam Reddish play last year against Duke, that's not Mike Krzyzewski. That's Cam Reddish. That's, FSU getting lost a little bit defensively. They drew up a nice play, but that guy has to hit the shot. If you don't have great players, you're not going to hit those shots. And I just think that's part of it, too. He's never had this level of talent. Now, with guys who can knock down those big shots, it looks a little bit different.
Well, and my point about that is, and I love making fun of Krzyzewski and Roy Williams whenever I get the opportunity, because if they don't have the best players on the floor, well, lo and behold, just couldn't get it done. I don't know how we're supposed to do it with 4 McDonald's All-Americans. We needed all 5 tonight, guys. That drives me nuts. Now, certainly I don't want to take anything away from Coach K. He's won multiple national championships and all of that. But what I would say is that it's funny. You can't win end-of-game situations. The criticism is you don't draw it up well enough. Now all you do is win end-of-game situations, and the response is, well, they got real good players. It's not that they drew it up. It's not that they executed a great play. They just got better players. Okay. So under that scenario and utilizing that way of reasoning, you'd never have to compliment his coaching.
Exactly.
You never have to.
They're the longest team in the country. They're the most athletic team in the country.
Yeah.
So, whatever. They also can play good basketball. Now, again, I mean, they've got to stay consistent. I thought that was one of the other things. See what I talked about in the article is you got to stay consistent. You got to keep doing it week in and week out, and you have to stay focused. And this is a big week for that. This is an opportunity against a wounded defending national champion Virginia on Wednesday, and then you got Miami on the road on Saturday. Clearly, those are winnable games, but they're also losable games. And, that's what's been impressive is that they've been able to maintain that focus. But it's one of those things where you can never let up because, all of these teams can beat you.
They can, and Florida State's not a perfect team. They've got a long ways to go. They have found a way to win the close games up to this point. They're certainly battle-tested. They are deep. They do play hard. But they're susceptible to losing a game like they did to Pitt. They're susceptible to losing games against teams that you think maybe on paper they should beat. It's a long season. It's a 20-game schedule. I do suspect there'll be a lull somewhere in there. Let's hope it's not this week. I can't stand the idea of losing to that Virginia team who can't score. It's unbelievable to watch them over the weekend losing to Syracuse, and they give up 20 points in the overtime, which was stunning. But Ira, great work. I love the piece. I'll talk to you tomorrow, brother. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, take care. That's Ira Schafel, warchant.com, the website. The piece that I'm referring to, if you go to the website, it's up there for free right now. FSU assistant Young talks Hamilton's program, legacy, respect, validation. You can see it right there. It's good stuff. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Employee Pricing Plus, only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. We haven't offered employee pricing for over 10 years, and it's back. Get some incredible deals, like a new 2019 Ram 1500 up to $14,000 off MSRP, plus 0% for 60 months on the 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. A huge savings only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Here's another, a new 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee up to $4,000 off MSRP. A new 2019 Dodge Challenger SXT up to $6,000 off MSRP. Buy one for only $26,999. During our Dodge Power Dollar sales event, Employee Pricing Plus, everyone qualifies. Going on right now, only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Visit us on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. Pricing on in-stock vehicles only, plus tax tag and dealer fee with approved credit. See dealer for details.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shera Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier, full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
Not all law firms are equal, so here's why Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey was recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey and let us put our reputation to work for you.
Geico presents eyewitness interviews with inanimate objects.
This is Belinda Collins, live on the scene of a recent hailstorm. Here to describe the event, a football.
Bro, I was just hanging on the roof when this gnarly storm starts dropping baseball-sized hail. I mean, the shingles got beat up. A few windows looked broken. It was savage.
Did you do anything to help?
Nah, bro. I was in survival mode.
Your football can't help you in a hailstorm, but the Geico Insurance Agency can help you get covered for personal property damage. Call Geico to see how affordable homeowners insurance can be.
Hi, this is Peter Bond, owner of Jerry's Cigar Shop. Jerry's has been a local favorite for cigar enthusiasts for the last 25 years. We have the largest walk-in humidors in town, filled to the brim with an amazing cigar selection. Relax in one of our leather chairs and enjoy an ice-cold beer or a glass of wine with your cigar. Jerry's is a great place to watch sports on our big flat-screen TVs and offers a comfortable setting for lively conversation. Visit our original store on Scherer Road or our new second location on Cary Forest Parkway. We hope to see you soon.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Right as I was coming back on. Nasty cough. 49ers allowed nearly 30 points per game over the last 5 games of the regular season, Tom. I know you and I were talking off the air, and this may not make any sense. We segue out of Ira Schafel and I's conversation about the basketball program into an obscure stat about the 49ers, but just a side note, that was a total of 7 first downs for the Vikings. Third fewest in the history of the postseason of the National Football League.
I'm telling you, it's really good news for them that Stefanski is out. In watching them hyper-focusing, once the Bucs season was finally over and you spend your free time, in those moments saying, well, if we win out, what do we need to happen? And you just start watching other teams, and obviously I spent a little bit extra time on Minnesota. Not impressed with him. Cleveland did not get a winner for head coach. I don't think that's going to work.
Did you hear why Josh McDaniels and others said no to Cleveland?
Yeah, it was something about submitting game plans.
Yeah. You had to submit your game plan to management and to the analytics department as well as to the GM and the owner before you could go forward with what you wanted to run on Sundays. The hell out of here with that nonsense. It's one thing to embrace analytics, and I would like to think that any coach I hire is going to sit side by side with those guys and utilize them as a tool to put together a game plan. I mean, that's how you have a symbiotic relationship between the coaches on the field and the department. That's what goes on in baseball. That's what happens really in sports these days, really any sport. But the coach is free to implement whatever strategy he wants to employ with that information, right? I mean, it's understood. Now, it's a fair question to sit across from a guy and say, do you believe in utilizing analytics to help put together your roster, game plans, whatever it might be? And if he says no, then you're free to say, you're not the kind of guy I want to work with. That's fine. It's a whole different thing to say, listen, we're going to need to see your papers. We're going to need to see exactly how you got to the plan that you did. Let's show your work here. Come in and talk to me. You know, there's a part of me that would be like, you're the owner of a football team. You've never coached a day in your life. Go to hell.
Right, exactly. And this puts the analytics department on even footing or greater footing than you.
Right.
It's the word submit, subordinate, submission, all that kind of stuff, right? And that's where you say, what are you hiring me for?
Right. Just use the analytics.
Was it the analytics? Because the analytics should find you your next coach. It shouldn't be my resume of working with the New England Patriots or whatever it is interest you have in me. The analytics must have led you to me, right? If you want me to do this for you once I'm the coach.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear that and read that. That's the kind of thing that usually comes out when you find out why, or one of the reasons you find out why it is that people don't want jobs, or why teams continue to get it wrong when they hire somebody. That there's an impediment that they're placing in their own way to getting it right.
Well, who's the analytics guy in that organization that he has the owner's ears such that, you know, he's got direct reports, then the coach is his subordinate too, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, you know, the movie Moneyball, we all saw it, right? There were obstacles of the old school way of thinking and the new school way of thinking, and how much of the analytics do you use week to week, game to game, whatever the strategy might be? Are you optimizing your roster on a daily basis? All those things, right? I get that you have this constant battle between the old way of doing things and the new way of doing things, but where the organizations that have succeeded seem to go with their train of thought is, well, this is yet another tool to aid in our efforts to put together game plans or rosters in order to win. It's not the be-all, end-all. It's one of many tools that we're going to utilize. Obviously, we have to be able to – our scouts have to be able to go assess players. We have to be able to go see how they're going to fit in a system. We got to analyze how much better we can make them from college to now, you know, all that.
Yeah, if you're Bruce Arians, you hire a former official to give you bad advice and tell you the language to use to lose challenges.
But the funny thing is he had a higher percentage of getting those challenges right than most of the coaches in the league. It's that the league needs to revisit what they're reviewing and what they're not reviewing. I think they're going to throw away this whole idea of reviewing pass interference, which they never should have employed anyhow. Well, they should have said to New Orleans, sorry.
How about Green Bay getting screwed on the thing that we got screwed on earlier this year, which is the fumble happened, but we don't have a clear recovery, even though you have a clear recovery.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez. Before we even get talking about the Jimmy Graham thing, let's talk about that moment.
Well, the irony, too, is if you think about the Titans and the run that they're on and how little they're requiring of their quarterback, is all of this is somewhat made possible because of the second half of the season in which they make the decision to bench Mariota, put Tannehill in, and all of that said they wouldn't be here had the officials let the play stand when the Bucs picked up the fumble and ran it in for a touchdown, and that would have been your ball game. So, you know, I mean, these refs in that league struggle mightily game to game, play to play, quarter to quarter, and the league itself doesn't do itself any favors by being wildly inconsistent and allowing Riverboat Ron to just decide he's going to do whatever the hell he wants to do up there. Screw your rules. I'm going to do what I want to do. You want us to review pass interference? No, never overturning it. Don't care. In the wake of overwhelming information, in obvious evidence, visual even.
Sir, that's a felony. But it's not pass interference.
It's not pass interference.
Call on the field stands.
Yeah, remarkable. Well, back to the 49ers who got healthy at the right time. I mean, we talk about Dee Ford, but Nick Bosa, DeForest Buckner, and all these guys, there were a lot of guys on the field that were back looking right. Quan, obviously. When you see them play at full speed and you're reminded of what their defense looked like through 9 weeks, you start to probably look at them as the team that, if they're going to play like that on defense.
They controlled the game, and they got nothing out of Kittle. I was very attuned to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing out of Kittle.
You needed a little bit more out of Kittle.
That's why I'm not playing anymore. George Kittle, 2.5 points.
I'd be doing a disservice. Yeah, well, and he dropped the first pass.
He sure did.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a toughie.
But you know what Kelsey did too, and then Kelsey responded as a man does.
Well, come on. Kittle's been the best offensive weapon that anybody in the NFC had all year long. You can't do that.
Kelsey has the best tight end performance all season long.
Well,
it was yesterday.
He's a freak.
And he did so. He played through a hamstring injury. That was altogether smart.
It was also a different kind of defense. That's not the same defense.
That's correct.
I would be remiss if I didn't at least acknowledge that the streak is over. Clemson did indeed end the 59-game road losing streak to North Carolina. Hey! They are now 1-59. And the great Roy Williams should be proud. Clemson never led until overtime. In fact, they trailed by 10 with 2 minutes to play. That's a toughie. A lot of precedent-setting losses this year for North Carolina. Win probability for UNC at the time, if you're into that sort of thing, was at about 98%. But alas, it got to within 3 with 3 seconds to play, and Roy forgot to tell his team to foul. That's not my opinion. He said that, admitted to it after the game, and suggested he should be fired. I agree. 21-8 in the final 2 minutes of regulation and overtime is what UNC was outscored by.
Listen, I think unstoppable force, immovable object, here's what you do. You fire Roy and you go get Rick Pitino. It's the institution that can never get penalized for a thing with the skeeziest scuzzball there ever was.
Man, I haven't heard skeezy since the 80s.
There he is.
Nicely
Those two
done.
things put together. Can the shield that is the North Carolina baby blue uniform defend itself successfully against Rick Pitino's dealings?
Late night romps at a local Italian restaurant.
I was going to go with dealings,
near you.
but you could go there.
Restaurant near you. Yeah, it'd be good.
It's table service.
Is that the first thing he asks every restaurant he enters into?
Do you work on the barter system? How do you do this? Get your floor passes?
I'm excited about this Virginia game on Wednesday. I'm also worried because they'll be pissed and nervous and frustrated and a lot of things based on what they're not doing right now. And surely they've got to play better than what they're playing. They lose to Syracuse, and good God, did you see the score of that game well into the first half? It's like, I'm fond of saying they were thrown into the peach basket again, man. It was embarrassing. I looked up at one point. It was like 12-10 with a few minutes left. What are we doing?
That could happen. That still could, we can go through some droughts. We're shooting the ball better, but,
I hope we beat their ass.
You really do.
Oh.
This has been 2 weeks.
Well,
Louisville, nothing. Who cares about
well,
that?
I did care
want
about
Virginia.
that. No, well, I just don't appreciate the style of play. It's 2020. There's just no reason. I'm glad. And that article I was just referencing with Ira, it makes me happy that my head coach, who was as defensive a stalwart as there is, said, guys, the game's changed.
Right. Like somebody who looks like Bob Huggins or Thad Matta should coach that style, not Tony Bennett.
No, come on, Tony.
Tony Bennett should coach the Suns back in the day with Steve Nash. That's how he looks.
He looks like that. Yeah, he would want forward thinking.
Mm-hmm. You better be ready to score 80 tonight, guys, because we're going to score 82 minimum. That's what we do.
That's all we do.
22 games in a
Put
row.
the ball in the bucket. That's
Look
not
how
they
sleek
are.
we are.
Yeah, but not that team. That team's like, man, I wish we could win games 10-8. We're going to play like it, too.
If anybody could.
It's going to be us. We'll do it, guys. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
As sports fans, we all know this is the best time of the year. And the best places to catch all the action are at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and 7th Hill Tap Room. If you'd like a laid-back atmosphere, the 7th Hill Tap Room is your spot. 24 craft brew taps, plus wine options as well. And when you want to watch the pros, enjoy half off all craft drafts all day on Sundays. So, whether you're feeling the upstairs at the Corner Pocket or lounging down at the 7th Hill Tap Room, your game day is always covered. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, right next to Earth Fair.
Hey, this is Jeff Doxey, representing Premier Fine Homes. I'm proud to announce Premier's newest community, Brookside Village. Brookside has the great schools you want, some larger home sites, and is conveniently located on Ox Bottom Road between Ox Bottom Manor and Moore Pond. Call or text me today at 545-4747 or email me at jeffdoxey1@gmail.com. Remember, before you buy, try me at Brookside.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code. Lesson 42. This is how you say happy hour. It's happy hour. Let's go get some Bud Lights. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light. Crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Not every law firm is the same. For example, you don't hire a divorce attorney to handle a foreclosure. The same goes for your insurance claim. Hire a firm that has the knowledge and experience in handling insurance matters. The Morgan Law Group is dedicated solely to this cause, fighting insurance claims that are underpaid, delayed, or denied. With offices throughout Florida, the Morgan Law Group covers claims for all hurricanes, storms, mold, fires, boats, and even sinkholes. Representing the policyholder, going after the insurance companies. The Morgan Law Group. Offices Miami, Orlando, Naples, and Panama City. Online at policyadvocate.com.
Not an employee or member of a law firm.
Bowtime beckons at breakfast because of one big word, bacon. But not just any bacon. Our big buttery Bojangles biscuits are bursting with a bounty of bigger, better than ever bacon. But beware, this boon to bacon believers is so breathtaking, it leaves other biscuits bereft. Be gone with bad bacon and bring on a bold bouquet of flavor that makes butchers bask in its beauty. Get 2 fluffy, meaty bacon, egg, and cheese biscuits for just $4. Boom. Bojangles. It's bow time.
Hardee's new 2 for $5 mix and match may just be the best deal in town. Where else can you get any 2 Hardee's favorites like the bacon cheddar double, the hot ham and cheese, the original roast beef, or the charbroiled double cheeseburger for $5? That's a ton of lunchtime options for only $5. Come to think of it, Hardee's 2 for $5 mix and match may even be the best deal in the state. Someone call the governor and double check that.
Offer available for limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating restaurants. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included. Not valid with any other offer, discount, or combo.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Are you starting a new business or expanding your business? Looking for the right general contractor to assist you with the tenant space build-out? Look no further. From restaurant to retail, we have the experience to work with you. At T-Spark Enterprises, we are ready to be a part of your vision and build a space that exceeds your expectations. Whether you're looking for design build or build from your own design, give us a call today for a free consultation. As the owner of T-Spark Enterprises, I guarantee when it comes to your business space, we only provide picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336. Roberts Elementary School is proud to host the 11th annual 2020 Trent 10K, formerly the Trent Trot, in honor of Trent McElroy, a Roberts fourth grader who lost his battle to childhood cancer in 2013. All proceeds from the race go to the Trent's Touch Foundation, which supports local families battling pediatric cancer. The foundation has supported 45-plus families to this date. The race is a longtime community favorite and is being held at Roberts Elementary School on January 25th, 2020. The 1-mile fun run starts at 8 a.m. and the 10K and 5K begin at 8:30 a.m. The 10K and 1-mile race are both Gulf Winds Grand Prix events. You can register online at eventbrite.com. Search Trent 10K.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Real quick, I mentioned before last week, a couple of you inquired, but they're doing the Body Transformation Challenge at Orange Theory Fitness. Prizes awarded to the top 3 males and top 3 females based on percentage of body weight lost. It's an 8-week challenge. You still have time to sign up. That sign-up period ends shortly, though, January the 17th, and the challenge dates will go from January 20th through March 15th. It's tell you what, it's fun to be a part of, and it's fun to work out there at least 4 times a week these days. I'm loving it, and I highly recommend it. I say this casually, but if you've been looking to get into something in the new year and you want to challenge yourself, I think this is a good way to do it. And you can find out more info if you want, orangetheoryfitness.com. It's all there. So back to tonight's game. I'm laughing because the number moved. Did you see this? It got as high as 6.5, and it's now down in some places down to 4.5. So clearly, what happened was all of the public jumped on LSU immediately following their lopsided victory over Oklahoma and changed the line from 3, which was originally posted by the books, most places, got it up to as high as 6.5. It's come back down now as the so-called wise guys and sharps came in and said, I think I'm going to take Clemson.
There is one place I found where it's back up to 6.
Is that right?
So it must be the early happy hour crowd. Maybe logging in from Bourbon Street and other places.
I learned something today that just not something I ever thought about. It does stand to reason that they see an inordinate line shift and change oftentimes after people have a successful weekend in the NFL. So they take their newfound money and go place it on the next big game. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
That has to be Kansas City and Green Bay money then. So it's the Sunday bets because people would have been eviscerated by the Baltimore bet if it was the public.
The Baltimore bet was one of the biggest wins for the books ever.
Yeah.
Because also you had money line under everything.
Green Bay was close. So that 2-point play, the people in the books must have been on the edge of their...
I was very excited about the corner blitz. Was
the total at 51 too?
I believe that's correct.
My God, that play is all important.
That play became pivotal. 4.5, and a lot of people had it at 4, but it was a big tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I was pleased. It was a big third down conversion too. I was like, all right, way to go, Aaron Rodgers.
I stayed off of that game.
Way to go, Aaron Rodgers.
I had no idea. Now, Director Matthew had it handicapped correctly that Seattle's defense would have a really hard time being that they're not very good. But then Russell Wilson does what he does, and that's why it's hard to wager on that game because, of course, at 28-10, the game's not over. Of course it's not.
No, man, that guy is awfully fun to watch. He's maddening when you're going up against him. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's play after play. And you're right. I mean, they were getting to him, and then he just makes plays and extends, and I love him. I love watching him. I mean, I think I tease him because he's the squarest guy in the league, but he is an amazing player, and there are so few people who do what he does, which is to make the kind of chaos look organized that he engages in or that he creates. The kind of it's bizarre. Most guys, like if a guy runs around and that's primarily how he beats teams, we know, ordinarily speaking, that's not going to work. That's just that may be doable for a game or two. It's just not something that is going to lead you week to week to week. But he does it every week, and that's because he's a really good thrower of the football. So when he's buying time, it's not just that he's buying time and he's elusive, he's a hell of an athlete, could have been a baseball player in the pros and everything else, so they say. Certainly played college baseball. It's that he's accurate once he plants his feet and makes those throws.
Yeah.
I mean, he's hitting guys on the numbers.
But it's so much more common now for a player to do that. I mean, you think about Aaron Rodgers, obviously has great pocket presence. Roethlisberger did it early on in his career, but it was more like people bounced off of him than he was elusive. He was just so hard to tackle. But Deshaun Watson literally, like I said yesterday, runs a circle around a bunch of 3-4 dudes before he's finally brought down. Mahomes is unbelievable moving
it's
around.
Constant. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Lamar Jackson will give you 5 really good plays, then he'll fumble, or at least be in danger of fumbling because he doesn't feel the one person.
Right.
So you give and take there. But what about what Jameis does, too? Free rushers. That dude's got like 94 moves, and they all work.
And they're made. It's like the all the elite quarterbacks that were able to make you miss in a phone booth, which is enough time to cock and load and let it fly. You know, I mean,
I got to find this on social media. This is really something that's for once worth retweeting and posting. There's a thread that a Bucs fan did down there, and it's GIFs of all of the really good and really awful plays this year.
Oh,
and the guy does it in strings. He's like, "Now, how do you make this throw?" And he's like, "Now." Why do you make this throw?
Yeah.
And then he puts like 3 unbelievable plays. He goes, all right, that's enough good. Let's switch it back to the bad. And it's a really entertaining thing because some of the stuff that he does, there was one play, I think it was against Arizona, where a free rusher, he's got Jameis dead to rights. He ditches him by this ridiculous little juke move. It's so awkward, ostrich-like,
well, he's
like he
always
does.
awkward, but yes, effective.
But then he
too.
shuffles and he fires at 25 yards down the field, and the only place the receiver can go get it. And you just... Oh, my God.
Well, that's
you
why,
don't think of him in that category, but that's what he does.
I do think of him in that category. It's why I'm always so torn when he's playing terrible. It's like, I remember that play, and there are very few people in the league that can do that. So I don't want to walk away from that. I'd also like to see us run the ball every now and again and lessen what we have him do. I mean, you just don't want somebody to have to throw 45 times a game. You're begging for problems. Hell, if you're the Titans, you just ask Tannehill to throw it 7 times. I need you to complete 7 passes on the road. 7. He completed 8 the game before for less than 100 yards, and they beat the defending champions.
That one was a little bit more convincing than this one, though. Like, if you're just looking at it on balance, like, okay, so Baltimore had to drop that many passes.
Sure.
They had to be idiots on a 4th down where Lamar's not actually sneaking the ball, or if he freelanced there, I don't know what the hell that play call was.
It was terrible.
Yeah. All these things have to happen for them to hold a minuscule advantage until they get up to that 28 number.
It reminds me a little bit, because we always think of the finished product, but we forget sometimes that when Ben Roethlisberger went to Pittsburgh, they didn't want him to cost them the game. They understood that you can't ask a young quarterback to go out there and throw it 30, 40 times. We got a good defense, and we can run the ball with the bus. Let's just ask him to complete 10 to 15 passes a game.
Literally, yeah.
Literally, he would. He'd go 10 of 16 for 200 yards or $190 or whatever, and they'd run the hell out of the ball, play great defense, and they'd win. And it was smart. But I'm just thinking about what they were asking him to do. And this is right now with Tannehill, they're like, look, you've got a Mack truck behind you. You hand it to him a gazillion times. We'll ride that train every now and then, throw off a play action and hit somebody open because they have to suck up on the run.
Couple of end arounds to A.J. Brown.
Yeah,
we're good to go.
Ridiculous.
Sounds good to me.
It's a hell of a deal. Good work if you can get it.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, you end up getting those playoff bonuses, buddy.
He's potentially going to beat Brady, the league MVP, Lamar Jackson, if they continue to do this. Mahomes, and then maybe Rodgers.
Okay, so or San Francisco.
Right.
I mean, and think about this. I think I saw this right. Would they be the first? No, they won't be the first. But he has now beaten New England, who won their division, Baltimore, who won their division. If they knock off KC, won their division, and then if you beat San Francisco, who won their division, and Green Bay won their. If they did it, they will have beaten the division winner in every round.
Division killers. That will be their nickname.
The division winner in every round.
Derrick Henry will. Can we start saying that now? Derrick Henry has beaten them instead, like we do with quarterbacks all the time.
Derrick Henry is winning a lot of football games these days.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry is kicking people's asses. It's something to behold.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Hope to see you soon.
Well, Well, would you look at this goodness? Our friends at For the Table Hospitality are doing the right thing per usual. It's time for the 4th annual Tallahassee Wine Mixer and Mozfest. Tallahassee's best wine festival is back for another year right there in the shadow of beautiful Doak Campbell Stadium. The date is Saturday, March the 7th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Centrale Pizza, Parm, and Bar. VIP tickets are just $60 and feature unlimited wine sampling, unlimited charcuterie, ooh, fancy, unlimited mozzarella cheese, oh, forget about it, this is good stuff, unlimited games, and a commemorative glass to boot. 2020 is going to be the best Tallahassee wine mixer yet. We'd certainly like to thank our friends at Visit Tallahassee for all of their help. For tickets, go to eventbrite.com and search Tallahassee Wine Mixer.
All right, welcome to F-150 Radio. Call from Georgia. Chad, what's shaking in Macon?
I know the F-150 kicks butt and takes names.
Like how the high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy F-150 thrashes the competition with best-in-class towing and torque?
Mm-hmm, not surprised. Totally saw that coming.
Chad, how do you know so much about F-150 beating the competition?
I drive the competition. Got a 10-year lease.
Kind of embarrassing, huh?
Maybe I shouldn't advertise that fact on a national talk radio show.
Good call. The Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
Best-in-class claims with properly configured vehicles. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVWR based on Ford segmentation.
Now get a 2019 F-150 with 0% financing for 72 months, only at your Ford dealer. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 0% APR financing for 72 months at $13.89 per month per thousand finance, regardless of down payment. Program number 21038 on 2019 Ford F-150. Not available on Raptor. Residency restrictions apply. Take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 4/30/19. See dealer for qualifications and complete details.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Employee Pricing Plus, only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. We haven't offered employee pricing for over 10 years, and it's back. Get some incredible deals, like a new 2019 Ram 1500, up to $14,000 off MSRP, plus 0% for 60 months on the 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. A huge savings only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Here's another. A new 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee, up to $4,000 off MSRP. A new 2019 Dodge Challenger SXT, up to $6,000 off MSRP. Buy one for only $26,999. During our Dodge Power Dollar Sales Event, Employee Pricing Plus, everyone qualifies. Going on right now, only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Visit us on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. Pricing on in-stock vehicles only, plus tax tag and dealer fee with approved credit. See dealer for details.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
How many of you woke up this morning expecting a pass in the flat to Rex Burkhead to complete the comeback of the Patriots over the Titans? Can any of you name the Patriots backup quarterback as we talk about whether Tom Brady's going to be there next year? Can any of you name him? I looked it up and I forgot already. I looked it up, I saw the name, and I forgot the name already because I did it on Sunday and a day went by and I'm old.
Does anyone else know? You guys care to take any guesses here?
Put it on the poll, Guillermo Le Batard Show. As everyone wonders whether Tom Brady's out, don't you find it funny that you're doing that while not knowing the name of the Patriots backup quarterback?
Something Stidham?
There is an H in there somewhere. I don't think his first name is something, though.
Huh? Oh, it should be.
It should be. That's right.
The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Astros GM Jeff Lunau and manager A.J. Hinch fired after MLB announced earlier today they were suspended for the 2020 season for the team's use of technology to cheat during its World Series winning season in 2017. The Astros also will be fined $5 million and forfeit their first and second round draft picks in 2020 and 2021. ESPN's Jeff Passan, though, not so sure that discipline will deter teams in the future.
You can look at the punishment and say, yeah, first round picks, second round picks, $5 million fine, general manager and manager, it's a lot. Is it enough, though, for a World Series? Would Jim Crane or would anybody give a World Series ring back, or would they rather have that punishment? And I think the answer is clear. They would rather have that type of punishment.
Red Sox manager Alex Cora, Houston's bench coach in 2017, expected to receive harsh discipline after MLB completes its probe into illicit use of instant replay by the 2018 Red Sox. Tonight in New Orleans, LSU and Clemson meet in the national title game, 6:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio.
Do you own or rent your home? Sure you do. Fortunately, Geico makes it easy to bundle your home and auto insurance. It's a good thing, too, because having a home is hard work. Go to geico.com, get a quote, and see how much you can save. Geico.com. Easy.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
The Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do, go back, get caught up at your leisure, as we'll post all 3 hours, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. You can email us if you like, JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Hello, YouTubers. Hello, Periscopers. WTSM app, also good for your mobile devices, so utilize that app if you're out and about and you're having trouble either streaming the show or listening to it for some reason on the terrestrial radio there. Tonight, the national championship game. More on that later this hour. We've talked about it some, obviously, today, but want to begin this hour with more reaction to what happened over the weekend in the National Football League, and it was once again another reminder of why it is people love that league, the unpredictability of these games and these outcomes. It statistically, we sit back and we look at what teams do during the regular season or what they've accomplished historically. We see what their offense is, what their defense is, and how it matches up against their given opponent, whatever it might be, and we break it down every which way to Sunday because it's fun to do. We love to analyze, and we should. We all do. It's an engaging conversation, and you're hoping to try to figure it all out because you're probably in some pool in one form or the other. And that's cool. But the NFL consistently plays tricks on you. What you think you know doesn't always apply to a singular game. And we saw it here over the weekend. Now, some things play out according to plan. San Francisco looked like the more rested, physical football team. Minnesota looked like a team in a bad spot. Couldn't run the ball against a healthy San Francisco defense. And once that happened, the writing was on the wall. This was not going to be a good day at the office for the Vikings.
Also looked like a Mark Richt special with the way that they had that offensive game plan laid out. There wasn't really much of an answer after the Diggs play.
Yeah, the long touchdown to start the game.
But even then, that's kind of like a broken play.
It is a broken
one shot.
Yeah.
And then 2 drives later, you're like, oh, so they don't have like a secondary wrinkle at all. Is Stefanski just, talking to the Browns all week? What the hell's going on?
Well, and that is a problem, by the way. These coaches getting interviewed and being talked to at a time when they're up for these other jobs. I mean, it can be very, very difficult, and I don't know if it played a part or not. I would say that we did feel like, look, it was a very, very faint chance for the Minnesota Vikings to go in and win this game because of the spot. They were beat up, 13 days rest for San Francisco. All their starters came back. I mentioned that all of last week with D Ford coming back, Quan coming back. I thought, this is a problem because that defense for San Francisco, prior to those injuries, they had 3 separate injuries at every level on the field. Once that happened, their defense became pedestrian. We saw that. But when those 3 guys were out there all year long in the first half of the season, you couldn't move the ball on them.
And Quan looking like a fully healthy Tampa Bay version of himself, too. Yeah.
So that just, once you realize Dalvin wasn't going to be able to get it going, they weren't going to be able to run the ball, it really felt like this was sort of fait accompli, and that's the way it turned out. That game really lacked much of anything after the first quarter.
Correct. That is correct.
That's the best way to say it. We're kind of like,
what's that Clemson, North Carolina score?
Exactly.
It happened.
It
was right on schedule.
Yes, it was. Made me laugh. Roy admitting after the game he cost him the game by forgetting, quote unquote, to tell his team to foul. He said I should be fired. I agreed. He said after the game, this is the kind of thing that will keep you up at night. I'll regret this for the rest of my days. They didn't lose this game because of anything they did. I lost this game because at 3.5 seconds left in the game, North Carolina up 3. They're in the huddle. Yeah. He forgets to tell them to foul. Clemson hits the 3, goes to overtime. They win.
You know who wouldn't have forgotten to tell him to foul?
Leonard Hamilton.
Carmichael. Carmichael would have told him to foul.
Yes, he would have. Taken it back to the Carmichael. So that was remarkable. And I'm still laughing at that press conference. It was almost over the top even for me, and I've been ripping Roy all year long that he's not allowed to just roll the ball out there. Now they're 8-8 because he has to actually coach. Like, Roy, easy. I thought he was about to off himself at the dais.
You know, we should have delivered the message there to tell them they needed a foul with under 5 seconds to go. 30 seconds. So Steve Robinson really just needs to do a better job. And it's his fault.
Wouldn't that be something?
As my situational coach, it's just Steve's got to be better. That's what he's in charge of, is our under 1 minute circumstantial and situationals. So unfortunately, Steve failed us today, but we'll go get him this week.
Ravens became the first 1 seed to lose to a 6 seed since the 2010 playoffs, and they end up losing a game that oddly is not all that competitive ultimately because they stalled in the red zone. Really, anything inside the 40, the Ravens continually could not finish drives. You know, you look at them statistically speaking, you don't know how they lost the game. But if you watch the game, they certainly never made plays on third down. They never made plays when they had to make plays in crucial situations, and something that they've converted all year long, 4th and short. They got stoned in this game, 4th and 1. It was a game changer. They get shut down. Credit to the Tennessee Titans in that situation. I had a little fun at Lamar Jackson's expense on Twitter where I referenced Bill Polian, but in truth, he was let down by his teammates an awful lot in this football game. Now, he didn't play well, and statistically, you're going to say, that's not true, Jeff. But if you watch the game, he missed big throws in big situations. Also had the turnover, and that was huge. But he was let down quite a bit. Enough to where I'm going to give him a pass here. You got to catch the ball, man.
Yeah,
you got to catch the ball.
He missed some throws, but he consistently made the right decision against the zone, whether it was a route that was moving down the field north-south or if somebody was sitting in an area. Like, he was able to scan the field and see it for what it was. And then, you've got the Mark Andrews, the first pick. Come on, dude. Yeah. That's an O.J. Howard special.
Oh, it's an O.J. Howard special, yep.
The second one, the second drop, that is the Seth Roberts, where he's going to score because for some reason the safety just falls on the ground. I don't know if that's what took his attention away or not. The safety just falls. He's going to take out the corner and trail, so that's a 75-yard touchdown up the sideline. And then you got the Willie Snead drop before Tucker hits his kick from 49 yards. That's another first down that's purely dropped. And you look at the third down plays that Tennessee made, one of which was the 3rd and 2, where I have no idea why on 3rd and 2, Derrick Henry is being moved out wide before the snap. That's the dumbest play call you could possibly make unless the ball is getting in Derrick Henry's hands. But Tannehill breaks the pocket, scrambles right, gets the first down, and then the 3rd and goal with the Jonnu Smith catch, which is absurd. I'm not sure that he's in bounds with control.
I'm not sure either, but
it's a play that's made on 3rd down that Baltimore didn't make all night.
And Baltimore becomes the 6th team in the NFL since 1933 to win at least 14 games in a season, but fail to win a playoff game. And all I ask is that we talk about these things evenly. Now, let's see how it's described next year when they go to the playoffs, because I know what it would be described as if this had been Jameis Winston. I'm just saying the excuses we just got done making,
right?
They wouldn't be there.
Of course not, but this is not his LA Chargers performance. This is different. They come away losers just the same, but that was not. This is not on the same level. Lamar looked much better in this game, much more comfortable than he did against the Chargers.
Still hasn't won a playoff game. Much better. Just want to hear it talked about evenly when we go into next year. He'd
need to contribute another 25 turnovers though between then and now.
Well, perhaps in the regular season, but in a singular important game, came up short again. But I would tell you, Tom, that the other part of that is, from a game plan standpoint, I was stunned at how panicked Baltimore became. Are we just going to throw on every down?
Well, freaking A. Mark Ingram, and Gus Edwards hit a couple of big ones in the first drive, and it's like they forgot about him.
Well, they completely forgot, but they lost Ingram, but they end up,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, no.
That's proof.
They abandoned.
And Edwards had gone for $120 in week 16, week 17.
It's what they do. They set up all that other stuff that Lamar does by getting him to throw off a play action, by establishing the run, and they do all the bells and whistles. You don't want, and this has been pointed out by a lot of people, you don't want that guy to throw the ball 40 times. He threw it over 20 times in the first half. You do not want that to be the case. You have to understand what he is, and he can be a league MVP because you devise a game plan around his strengths. You don't want him throwing the ball 45 times. That's ridiculous.
Well, and I know we like analytics, and I agree in most cases, but after being stoned on 4th and 1, you got a kick to make it 14-9. I might take the 3 there. I may.
Yeah, maybe.
Lamar clearly didn't like the call. He wasn't comfortable with going up the gut again. Well, he's just freelancing and doing like 360s and stuff, trying to sneak the ball.
By the way. Some trends there, by the way. The last player to win MVP and Super Bowl in the same season. Can you name it?
I'm sorry, that one more time, MVP.
Last player to win MVP and Super Bowl in the same season.
Oh, God.
You'd think if you had the league's MVP at the most important position.
Breeze, when the Saints won
Kurt Warner, 1999.
Oh, my God.
All the way to 99. The last Heisman quarterback to win a Super Bowl with the team that drafted them.
It's tricky because Peyton Manning didn't win a Heisman.
No, he didn't.
It's not Tim Tebow.
Well, you're not going to get it. It's Roger Staubach in 1977.
Holy God.
Uh-huh. Last team to lead the NFL in rushing and win a Super Bowl. The Ravens destroyed the NFL, led the league in rushing by a lot.
85 Bears.
Bam! My man. Woo! Good job, baby. Youngest starting quarterback to win a Super Bowl. You know the answer to that one. Lamar, had Baltimore fulfilled their promise, would have been the youngest to ever do a lot of these things that I'm bringing up. That's why I'm bringing it up.
Bart Starr.
Bart Starr, who was 23, looking like 52 at the time.
Well,
23-year-old Big Ben in 2003.
Oh, duh. Yeah, that's right.
Ravens averaged 33 points, over 33 points a game this year. No team has won a Super Bowl after averaging that many points per game in a regular season.
Hurtful.
All kinds of terrible numbers associated now with the Ravens, who rushed for an NFL record 3,296 yards during the regular season.
They look like a team that would have won if the game was on the road. They were feeling all that pressure. You could tell.
It's bizarre. I know.
What happened to Kansas City in the first half? It's the coronation thing.
That's where we're moving there, by the way. That's partly, but I have never seen the kind of buffoonery that I was witnessing in that first half. We could spend 3 hours on that game alone, statistically, historically. First of all, it's also another unique score. It's never had an ending in a playoff game of 51-31.
You have seen that before. It's just not on the same level. At the
Florida
college
State
level,
and Auburn?
Nope. Well,
a little bit.
Jimbo screwed that. Tennessee, Florida, when Tennessee was trying to break the streak back in 2016. Remember that first half?
Was crazy.
That's an all.
And they ended up winning the game.
They still came back and won the game. Yes.
One thing to say is, I know some folks, I try to find some balance with my gambling talk. Can you imagine this? It's unbelievable, this teaser. You're up 24-0, and you can't get the money with the number, right? The teaser was 17. You could turn it. You're up 24-0, getting 17, and you don't cover. I don't think I would ever gamble again. I mean,
I did play KC -10.
I did too.
I did, and I felt like at 24-0, next score wins. Also, Adazio moment for O'Brien.
Oh, but he has it every week. He's a bad coach. He's a bad coach.
You know what I was thinking at 21-0? I'm like, well, special teams plays, and then they've got shots down the field. It looks like they're going to be able to take shots down the field all game. I'm thinking, well, maybe, okay, O'Brien, maybe you are crawling out of the end. It's gone.
And it's gone. We're going to fake the punt, which is not correlating nicely with not going for it on 4th and 1.
That's the problem.
What are you doing?
That's the problem.
You either have the mentality or you don't.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Yeah. That run for Kansas City was 51-7. They were down 24-0. They went on a 51-7 run.
Could have been more.
How about this? Imagine you're up 24-0 in the second quarter of a football game and you don't lead at the half. That is craziness. The end game was insane. I wasn't near my computer. I'm glad. That was nuts.
Yeah, the end game. I would have tried to find value on KC, but did you hear the note on Le Batard today?
Mm-mm.
So 24-0 on the money line for KC was still only plus 250. That's it.
Plus 250 is a lot.
No, but not at 24-0?
Yeah, for the game. You want to find a better bet? And I don't know who can find it. I'll have to do some research after the show. What was KC down 24-0 to lead at the half? What do you think that is?
That's not even a real bet because it was just so astronomical.
It exists. You can do it in in-game. There's always that bet. I'm telling you, somebody's got it. Probably plus 800. I mean,
it was a drunk dude in Missouri.
I'm doing it.
Damn it.
It's the Jeff Cameron Show.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
$50-576-3332.
Hardee's new 2 for $5 mix and match may just be the best deal in town. Where else can you get any 2 Hardee's favorites like the bacon cheddar double, the hot ham and cheese, the original roast beef, or the charbroiled double cheeseburger for $5? That's a ton of lunchtime options for only $5. Come to think of it, Hardee's 2 for $5 mix and match may even be the best deal in the state. Someone call the governor and double check that. Offer available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating restaurants. Price and participation may vary. Tax not included. Not valid with any other offer, discount, or combo.
Today on Hey Culligan, smoother skin for the win. We've got Claire in Delaware.
Hey Culligan, the water in my shower makes my skin feel like I'm 90.
Okay, first off, Claire, are you 90?
No.
Okay, second, how do you feel about high-efficiency water softeners from Culligan? Actually, Claire, how do you feel about smoother skin and luxurious hair?
Oh my gosh, love it, have to have it.
OMG indeed, Claire. We're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with a local Culligan water expert at heyculligan.com. Today on Hey Culligan, smoother skin for the win. We've got Claire in Delaware.
Hey Culligan, the water in
This is a Jackson Hewitt Tax Service announcement. Don't want to wait weeks for your tax refund? That's a reason to go to Jackson Hewitt Tax Service. File your taxes with Jackson Hewitt and ask a tax pro how you could get up to $3,200 fast with a no-fee refund advance. It's a 0% APR loan from Medibank that's available before your tax refund is, so you could get money when you need it. Go to jacksonhewitt.com to learn about availability, terms, and how you could get money on a prepaid card fast, like Today Fast. Go to Jackson Hewitt today. That's Jackson Hewitt.
Oh no, this car ride's taking forever. I hate blindfolds. No more of these. Where are we going?
Bumpus Local 349.
Yay! I love Bumpus Local 349. It's a local business.
I wish they had piñatas.
Me too. But I think I'm going to order the Dolphin Reuben instead.
You know, it's not really dolphin.
Yes, it must be mahi, right?
Delicious.
Yes.
Eat local, be local, and drink local at Bumpus Local 349.
Help me with my blindfold.
We've invented a new messaging system using the crisp sounds of Bud Light. Crisp Code, Football Edition. This is how you say, game tonight. Bring Bud Light. fantasy fees are due. That's it for today.
Brewed with no corn syrup. Bud Light, crisp. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Geico presents eyewitness interviews with inanimate objects.
This is Belinda Collins, live on the scene of a recent hailstorm. Here to describe the event, a football.
Bro, I was just hanging on the roof when this gnarly storm starts dropping baseball-sized hail. I mean, the shingles got beat up. A few windows looked broken. It was savage.
Did you do anything to help?
Nah, bro. I was in survival mode.
Your football can't help you in a hailstorm, but the Geico Insurance Agency can help you get covered for personal property damage. Call Geico to see how affordable homeowners insurance can be.
Roberts Elementary School is proud to host the 11th annual 2020 Trent 10K, formerly the Trent Trot, in honor of Trent McElroy, a Roberts fourth grader who lost his battle to childhood cancer in 2013. All proceeds from the race go to the Trent's Touch Foundation, which supports local families battling pediatric cancer. Foundation has supported 45-plus families to this date. The race is a longtime community favorite and is being held at Roberts Elementary School on January 25th, 2020. The 1-mile fun run starts at 8 a.m. and the 10K and 5K begin at 8:30 a.m. The 10K and 1-mile race are both Gulf Winds Grand Prix events. You can register online at eventbrite.com. Search Trent 10K.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I'll introduce this very quickly because it is significant. It happens to come at a time today being the national championship in college football and on the heels of the NFL playoffs in a way that would not see us spend an inordinate amount of time on Major League Baseball. But it is a significant happening with the suspensions being handed down and more to come, in particular for Alex Cora, who is in major trouble here. And you would venture a guess this is going to be multiple years? Wow. I will bring this up. By the way, Jeff Passan doing great work. If you're looking for a thorough write-up of this, just go to his Twitter account and start following along because he's doing an amazing job. He, of course, writes for ESPN.com. Passan noting here, Tom, no players were disciplined by Major League Baseball in the Astros investigation, while Mets manager Carlos Beltran was part of it. He was a player at the time and thus will not be suspended. Discipline for Red Sox manager Alex Cora is coming, and it's going to be harsh, per sources, Jeff Passan. So you, sir, dodge a bullet that Beltran was a cheater, along with the rest of the cheaters there within the organization, but because he was not in a position of authority, i.e. management, or a manager, he is not suspended. And now that he is a manager in Major League Baseball for your New York Mets, all you can say about that is, my man's committed to winning.
He is committed to winning, and who would have thought somebody is so monotone as Carlos Beltran that he could be capable of such colorful things in the dugouts and the meeting rooms and everywhere else?
There's the entire rules violations in the 2017 season is laid out by MLB's investigators, and it names Alex Cora, and it's thorough, and it would bore you to tears if I read it now, but you can go read it if this sort of thing interests you. Alex Cora is screwed. This is not going to go well for him. And it's funny because within this investigation, they'll talk about players as being part of it, big time involved in the scheme. In Alex Cora really kind of being the ringleader. The Houston Astros get skewered for their culture that was created in the front office. That's been well documented. Obviously, their open animosity towards fair-minded questions from reporters and their efforts to undermine the rules of baseball consistently. That's all been laid bare. A.J. Hinch comes across somewhat as a sympathetic figure here. But there is a lesson, I think, to be learned, I suppose, and that is if you recognize that there is wrongdoing on behalf of your employees or management or people within your organization where you work, it's one thing to voice your concerns and to come out within the office structure and say, I don't like this. I don't think this is what we should be doing. I think we don't need this. We've got good players. There's no reason for this. Guys, we're going to get ourselves in trouble here. I don't like it. Okay, good. Good on you for saying that. Does appear A.J. Hinch did say that. But But it is incumbent upon you, at least according to Major League Baseball and the way that they just suspended him for a year, to take it a step further and report these people to the upper echelon of Major League Baseball.
I'm just glad that it's Manfred making that determination and not Bud Selig, because it would ring hollow.
It would
if
ring
Bud
hollow.
Selig said, well, you could not like it, but you need to do more.
Yeah,
you see.
It's interesting, Tom. This has the makings of a perfect drama. Legitimately, how many movies center around the confrontation in one's mind or as well as within an organization as to what to do when confronted by something you deem to be immoral or unethical, whatever it might be, and you're not the guy in which the buck stops. You're an underling, and you may wield authority, you may wield power, but not the ultimate power. How far do you go to put a stop to something? Do you tell on your bosses knowing that if this does not work out and the charge from you is somehow dismissed or unvetted for some reason, that's your ass. You're done. You lose your job, and it's a high-paying job in this case, and you lose maybe credibility. Or if you don't do it and it comes out later in the wash, then you're going down with the ship like everybody else.
That's right, AJ. AJ Hinch, you should be AJ Snitch next time, buddy. We need the information. You can't just break monitors. It's not enough.
Yeah, so real quick, and I'll move on from this. He disagreed, AJ Hinch did, with the use of video. And this is according to the MLB investigative report. You can read this. Going so far as to actually damage the various monitors that were being used in the scheme, and he did so multiple times. So he saw that they fixed them, and he went and broke them again. Got to give him credit. You know, they must have been like, this is annoying. Who keeps breaking it?
He's Morgan Freeman in The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
No one should ever have this much power, sir.
It's
I'll do it this one time to help us win the World Series.
Yeah.
And then
that's it.
Count me out.
Yeah. So my man, on multiple occasions, shows his disapproval by breaking the monitors they're using in the scheme, necessitating replacement of said monitors, and he's still suspended for a year because he didn't take it. He was the one with the responsibility for managing his players and other coaches, and for that purpose, Major League Baseball said, "You're suspended too. Sorry." That's a toughie.
And here we thought the Astros were winning just because they had a good approach at the plate, and they didn't strike out.
It's funny. We talked about it at length that they were the anti-modern offense and that they didn't strike out. They weren't a swing and miss team. Helps to not be a swing and miss team when you know what's coming. Man.
Bunch of Van Dorens out here.
Your name is mine. Yeah, that's a toughie. Holy moly.
I'm sorry for standing in the batter's box and the things I knew I shouldn't have known.
Oh, that's one of our favorite movies. Both you and I agree on that one.
Meanwhile, you know, the guy who's mixed up in it and getting screwed over is a guy from Boston. He's from New England. You know?
Oh, that's right. John Turturro's character?
Yeah. No, the guy who plays Richard.
The reporter, yeah. The reporter, yeah.
The investigator.
Yeah, but I felt bad for Turturro's character.
So you mean to tell me you beat me in the World Series because you knew this information?
He was good. He's great. Everybody's good in that movie. Now, Turturro's character, though, in that movie is the poor guy. New York City, living in that tiny-ass apartment. He knows the answers. He can't be.
Herbie Stemple.
Yeah, it's the worst.
You think I didn't know the answer to that question? Of course I knew it was on the waterfront.
Oh, that sucks. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. You can get, and it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com. Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Milwaukee and Cornerstone Tool and Fastener are nothing but heavy duty. Purchase a Milwaukee M18 Fuel Brushless Impact Hammer Drill Kit and get your choice of a free M18 Fuel Sawzall or M18 Fuel High Output 8.0 battery, a $199 value. Or buy an M18 Fuel 4-piece brushless pack-out kit with a rolling toolbox for only $4.99. A Cornerstone special. Cornerstone Tool and Fastener, the largest Milwaukee selection in the area. Big store pricing with local service. 1110 Stuckey Ave or 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open Saturdays, 8 a.m. to noon.
All right, welcome to F-150 Radio. Call from Georgia. Chad, what's shaking in Macon?
I know the F-150 kicks butt and takes names.
Like how the high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy F-150 thrashes the competition with best-in-class towing and torque?
Mm-hmm, not surprised. Totally saw that coming.
Chad, how do you know so much about F-150 beating the competition?
I drive the competition. Got a 10-year lease.
Kind of embarrassing, huh?
Maybe I shouldn't advertise that fact on a national talk radio show.
Good call. The Ford F-150. It doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
Best-in-class claims with properly configured vehicles. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds GVWR based on Ford segmentation.
Now get a 2019 F-150 with 0% financing for 72 months, only at your Ford dealer. Not all buyers will qualify for Ford credit financing. 0% APR financing for 72 months at $13.89 per month per thousand finance, regardless of down payment. Program number 21038 on 2019 Ford F-150. Not available on Raptor. Residency restrictions apply. Take new retail delivery from an authorized Ford dealer stock by 4/30/19. See dealer for qualifications and complete details.
This message brought to you by the Florida Lottery Player's Guide. We would like to remind you to always play responsibly, which means know your limits. When playing, make sure to set a budget and then stick to it. Use only your discretionary income on games and don't spend more than you can afford. Learn more helpful tips and information about responsible gaming at playersguide.flalottery.com. Must be 18 or older to play. And of course, play responsibly.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Anytime soon.
You know, it's neat to be able to sit here and, I guess, really say to you that I have no idea what's going to happen in tonight's game. I love the fact that that's what I felt that for 2 weeks. I feel like, well, I hated that we had to wait this long. But every time I began to formulate an opinion as to what I thought would take place in the game, it felt forced. It felt like I was having an opinion because we're in the sports talk business and you're supposed to have an opinion. I don't, other than to tell you I think it's a great matchup. It's perfect for us as football fans to get to see these two teams match up in the championship game. I suspect now maybe we're all jaded, cynical over the years where you got excited about a Super Bowl or you got excited about a game and it didn't live up to the hype, and so those tend to stay etched indelibly in your mind, and so it informs the way you view these games sometimes negatively because you've been let down. But the truth is, when I think about this game, I think we're in for an all-timer. It may not play out that way, but I don't want to assume that it won't. I really think the matchup is perfect.
Yeah, we thought last year's game would be an all-timer, and it started out okay, and then the next thing you know, Clemson's running away with it. But to me, I think the number one thing that has to happen and had to have happened leading up to today, Coach Orgeron has to do a great job of keeping his players' emotions lower than they currently are, right? You like the pressure of being the first team in LSU to win the title and climb the mountain since way back in Saban's days and Les Miles, which was still Saban's program.
Right.
So it's been forever. They've seen Alabama celebrate how many titles. They've seen Auburn get to this point, only to lose, but one of the more memorable seasons. And Clemson, of course, the team they're playing. So, and it's in New Orleans. So all of this pressure that's on this team that is just, it's been a darling this entire college football season. You've got to keep your players on an even keel because it's so easy to play this game before it happens. Jimbo used to talk about it. Don't play the game on a Thursday. Wait till we kick it off. That's his charge. For most of the year, Ed Orgeron has been like, it's been like a time release bomb. He's like, here we go. It's time to play. It's time to, because you're chasing. But in this case, the pressure's on them. It's like a Canadian team hosting a Game 7 for a Stanley Cup. They haven't won one as a nation since 1993. You're in New Orleans as LSU. It's been Alabama's world for 10-plus years.
Do you recall, though, the point you're making, it's a good one. I agree with you. The thing I would say is every now and again, and these avalanches tend to occur in New Orleans, do you ever think sometimes something builds to a place where it does overwhelm? It can overwhelm the team that is the one who desperately wants the victory, who hasn't climbed to the top of the mountain in the way that Clemson has just last year and all that.
Clemson knows it in and out. They know exactly how to approach this game.
But I also think every now and then that same wave of emotion, that avalanche that we refer to, does overwhelm a team if, and I mean the team, in this case Clemson, if they make mistakes early. One of the things that I go back to, and lesson learned because they have the best defensive coordinator in football, and he made adjustments. It allowed them to come back, and come back they did. That experience and expertise, they've got a lot of talent, led them back. But we both know that if Ohio State scores a touchdown instead of kicking a field goal, and they're up 23-0 instead of 16, they're going to win the game. The margin's too big. Adjustments and all of that happen. Clemson would have closed the gap, but I don't think they get all the way back. Red zone issues killed Ohio State in that game early when they had a chance to make the margin too big.
Yeah. It's kind of like Ohio State coming back on Alabama in the first college football playoff. Remember when we were done getting our asses handed to us in Pasadena?
We went out to dinner.
That's exactly what happened. Alabama did not cash in the red zone. Next thing you know,
it got away from them.
Urban Meyer's squad's running for 300 yards.
Well, it just happened to Alabama against Clemson last year. If they don't dilly-dally in the red zone and they don't turn it over, if you look at yards per play and every metric under the sun, they're right there with Clemson. It's going to be an onslaught. It's going to be the two teams that are scoring in the 40s. That might happen tonight. You've got a great defensive coordinator. Player-wise, LSU has really good players, many of whom are going to go to the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. They didn't play consistently great all year on defense. They're better as of late. But I don't know that either defense, no matter how talented, how well coached, and how deep, really are going. I don't know that I could bank on them to get consistent stops. I just don't see it. I do think we're going to have the score fest that's anticipated. I think both teams are going to score quite a few points tonight.
Well, if that's the case, then it's about turnovers. Because if you're like a Big 12 team, it's about making splash plays and turnovers on defense because you're going to be out there for 80, 90 plays. Yeah. So you can't really count on holding a team under 28 points. You've got to make splash plays. The sacks, second and long, third and long, and then obviously get in front of the football. And when you have a chance, close your hands on it. See a lot of that around the NFL playoffs. Guys have chances to make plays, house calls, and then they don't. What happens? It ends up biting you. So to me, it's about Venables versus Brady, which is also versus Burrow. How much can you confuse the kid to get them off of their game and off of momentum, even if it's for a drive? It could be one drive, and then Clemson gets the ball, and they go for 5 minutes. I really feel like the team that has more touchdown drives that are in excess of 3.5, 4 minutes, they're the ones that are going to win the game because that means they're controlling momentum and keeping their defense fresh on the sidelines.
For Clemson tonight, and I referenced it earlier in the show, but when we talk about what's at stake, and obviously there's an awful lot at stake. It's a national championship game after all, but they're on the verge of a second straight undefeated season, something only one FBS program has accomplished in the last 40 years, and it was Tom Osborne and the Nebraska Cornhuskers that have accomplished that feat, running the table in 94 and again in 95. We remember that very well. At least I certainly do. He couldn't, the previous season, losing to Florida State, could not get the monkey off his back. The word on Tom Osborne at the time, this guy's never going to win one. He's had great teams. They always come up short. This guy's never going to get done. Here's a little back-to-back for that ass, undefeated.
Yeah.
Ed Orgeron with an opportunity now to permanently cement a change in the way he's viewed and talked about as a coach, as a recruiter, and really his place in the history of the game. All of that also on the line tonight if he can upset Clemson for Clemson. Obviously, I just referenced what they're in a position to be able to do.
If Clemson wins, then it's just another chapter in the storyline that this program takes breaks. They take days off or nights off. Clemson does. But then once they're awake for good. You know, with North Carolina, the way that game played out, it was clear Clemson was going through the motions. Look at the decisions that Trevor Lawrence was making through the first handful of games.
Almost like he was experimenting.
Exactly. He was experimenting. He was bored.
I'm going to see what happens here.
They win their first title. They lose to Pitt, right? They should have lost to NC State. They should have lost to us in the Dabo era. Then they break through. Once they wake up, finally, it's like, whoa, they are a team to be reckoned with.
It's just so hard to sustain a level of intensity week to week when you know you're the better team and you have been rewarded for going through the motions and winning a lot of games by multiple touchdowns until one day you don't.
But I think there's two layers to it for Clemson. Number one is the North Carolina game. Number two, they're better prepared for tonight than LSU is because the last thing that Clemson saw was a lot more formidable than the last thing that LSU saw.
In a weird way, you know, I said earlier last week that I thought Clemson really benefited from the extra time off, the longest stretch between games ever in the college football playoff era before a national championship. The way it fell with the Rose Bowl and the holiday and the whole thing.
Week 17, wild card weekend in the divisional playoffs before college football decided.
Yeah, which is ridiculous, and I really wish they would tell the Rose Bowl to stick it and that we could have these games played in a timely fashion. That said, I thought it benefited Clemson for the reasons that you just mentioned. They're a team that had to take on arguably maybe the best team in the country, second best team in the country, certainly on the list. Ohio State was physical. Ohio State was deep. Ohio State was obviously immensely talented. They got over that hurdle, but it was a brutal game. Those were hard hits being doled out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I talked about how that was a game for men. Nobody was out there with don't be faint of heart in that game. This will be very physical, too, and it'll be very fast, obviously. But they had time to prepare for it. You're right. This seemed like a laughable affair for LSU in that Oklahoma game where they literally did anything they wanted to do. When you score 7 touchdowns in your first 7 possessions, you're doing anything you want to do. That said, I can't believe that the entirety of the SEC West schedule didn't thoroughly prepare them to play very physical football.
Sure. No, I'm just, again, because this thing's on an island. This game is on an island. Typically, the playoff season or bowl season is just so far apart that while I agree, entering the college football playoff, LSU is far better prepared for the trials ahead.
Yeah.
I do think LSU didn't see a test all season long like Clemson did. And the fun thing about this for Trevor Lawrence, if you're just looking at him as a product, not for the NFL, but the intangibles of his college football legacy, all that stuff, he likes to run anyway. Like there are option plays, and he decides to run in a meaningless game. You're like, wow. It's boredom, but then it's also pride in his part. He wants to show you he's not just
he's a real good
drop
athlete.
back. Right. He's got good speed to the edge. But this past game against Ohio State, he had to, or else they lose. He had to be both of the dual threat
Trevor
machine.
ran for over 100 yards.
Right, but he ran with purpose, physicality. He took the best shot, like he was fond of saying in the postgame. They thought they knocked me out of the game.
Yeah.
I had a response for him. That dude is awake, and he knows he can do things that if he's bored and he's experimenting all season long, that means he's looking for things that, I don't know if I can do this or not. He found out something about himself against Ohio State, and when you give that type of player that type of confidence, you get a season like Burrow had from game 1 all the way to the end, and then you get perhaps what Lawrence might provide tonight, which is an all-time performance.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see LSU's passing attack against this defense because Joe Burrow told people all year long, hey, thanks for the praise. I appreciated it. Thanks for noting the stats. Obviously, he was emotional when he won the Heisman, as he should have been. But you could see he had a sense of this is a team award. And the reason that he felt that, well, obviously football is the ultimate team game, was that he knows he's throwing to 4 NFL wide receivers. Clemson has not seen that. Nobody has. I mean, they're on the cusp of having put together the greatest offensive season in the history of college football. What happens tonight? What does Clemson choose to take away? Because nobody's been able to take away the ability to highlight one of those 4 guys in a stretch of time to win a football game, to get a crucial third down. That's tough when you got 4 NFL receivers and they spread you out. They're not afraid.
Oddly enough, I thought in the second half of Alabama, which was the biggest test for LSU to date, I think. I know that they put up less points, fewer points against Auburn and Florida obviously challenged them defensively.
Florida played well against them, yeah.
But the way that Alabama surged back in that game in the second half and the answers that LSU had to come up with, Edwards-Helaire ended up being the centerpiece of that attack that finished the job. Of course, the receivers, they overwhelmed Bama from the beginning. It looked like Bama was not prepared at all, period, for that game, which was just so rare. But then after Alabama answers, and now the game is in the balance, they decide to use that player. And I think Edwards-Helaire is going to be a big part of tonight's game.
He's fun because he's part of the overall debate. Burrow or Lawrence? Etienne, Edwards-Helaire. Higgins-Ross, Chase Jefferson-Marshall.
Right.
Which groups are you taking in the, that's a fun debate.
And if you look at what LSU gives up on the ground, I mean, we know that there's shots down the field to be had tonight. I get that they've got a stud freshman and they got their safety back, but you can still take some shots down the field in LSU. They give up a lot of chunk plays on the ground. And so Etienne might be the factor in this game, too.
He should be. He really was the deciding factor in the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
All the yards after catch. They used him in the passing game. It changed everything. We noted last week, Lawrence, who was very physical, very tough, and led that comeback, did not have to throw the ball down the field. One pass of over 20 yards completed in that game in the second half that mattered at all. Everything was underneath. They were taking what Ohio State was giving, but when you throw the ball to a guy like Etienne.
Yeah. Well, it's like, once again, coming back to one of my favorite TV shows, Playmakers. They stole something from Tin Cup, like an idea.
Yeah.
And it was the star quarterback and the quarterback coach. And the coach challenges the quarterback who can throw the ball farther. And the quarterback's laughing. How much you want to play for? $1,000, whatever. So the quarterback throws it, and it's like 70 yards down the field. Everybody goes, woo! And then the quarterback coach just dumps it off to the golf cart that's driving to the locker room. And then there goes the golf cart. To me, that's what Etienne is. He is the golf cart.
The most elusive and speedy golf cart in the history.
It's like a 12-yard little dink and dunk to number 9, and then he's gone. One man misses.
Yards, yeah.
Good night.
There's a prop out there, longest touchdown on the night, and I can't believe it was only, when I saw it, 52 yards. I went, oh, no, there will be multiple touchdowns of more than 52 yards with these two teams.
I would think so.
Oh, I'm taking the over on that, yes. That's a fun prop.
It's fun to have a championship game like this instead of like the Bowl Alliance back in the day where you don't know who's who, because then you can circle this game for props the way like a Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And there's a bunch of them out there. There's fun. I didn't really bring them up much today, but that was one that I went, well, I don't mind if I do. I couldn't believe it. I mean, somebody's going to get open with the speed and elusiveness that these guys have. Both quarterbacks extend plays. Both are really well coached. Somebody's going to get open.
Safeties have to. Exactly. They're going to make a mistake here or there.
You miss a tackle against Etienne. He's 80 yards. It's gone. You don't have the speed. I mean, you saw that against Ohio State, and that defense is really good.
Well, and that's where when you have a really good back like both these teams do, but specifically Etienne, if it's 3rd and 1. Or 4th and 1, those are dangerous plays because those have the ability to be house calls no matter where they're called on the field. Like when you get into that goal line set, sometimes inside your own 10-yard line. Think about the Dalvin run against Wake Forest.
Oh, yeah.
Before he pulls his hammy. That was the on-the-road game. When you commit that many players to a small area and one dude misses.
Yeah, commit the king, right?
In a weird way, those seem like nothing plays. Like, oh, we need 18 inches here just to get the first down. Sometimes those are the ones that can go the distance.
So I didn't ask you, and I guess we should bring it up now just out of curiosity as we sign off. Dabo Swinney obviously looking to make history, not something we would have predicted many moons ago, as well documented. 3rd national championship in 4 years if he gets it done. It's only ever been done 3 times in the AP poll era, which dates all the way back to 1936. Ridiculous. Because of it, are you about done with that group? Are you rooting for LSU tonight? Or are you repping the ACC and flying the flag high, Tom Lang?
Well, I've got interest in Clemson in a
for
confidence
the points,
pool as well. There's a confidence pool on the line.
Okay.
The one thing I will say...
If you could remove all wagers and purely you sat down and you wanted to root for a team, who would you root for in this game?
You going to pull my Noel card if I say Clemson?
No, I don't care. I mean, it's Clemson. You don't have to root for LSU. I'm not.
I like both these fan bases, though. I really
do. I have no problem with either fan base. I'm not coming at this from an angle of angst or animosity or even schadenfreude. I'm coming at this as I like Ed Orgeron. I like what he's been through. I like Joe Burrow. I like that LSU team, and I love their fans. And they were so good to us when we went up there for baseball. I kind of want to see him get it. That cabbie and all those people that are like that guy. hey, Clemson just did this. They've, come on.
But it's not like LSU hasn't done this since 1974.
No. Listen, we know they've won, but this guy and this group, and they have been infinitely entertaining. I mean, that has been something to behold. They rescued us from 9-6.
I don't feel this way nearly as much as Dabo does at every press conference.
He likes to think that the whole world is against him, even when they're favored.
But I do think they were disrespected this year, and everybody talked about LSU as this unstoppable force.
They were absolutely disrespected the same exact way we were disrespected in our national championship.
And I've been like, whoa, pump the brakes, guy. That Clemson team can play some defense now. I mean, that's a complete team.
Yeah, but you and I know that. I don't need him to be able to thumb his nose at the rest of the national media who he feels like, slighted them.
It doesn't make us any more money off of the ACC network and the 25 cents we're going to get cut this year. Yeah. Unfortunate. I wish the conference networks could put about, $50 million in pool money on the line. And then the winning team for the college football playoff. Of course, the SEC and Big Ten would never do that because they control the money. But then you would see conference affiliation and flag waving, much like the SEC already does.
They already do. But it's been the ACC's flag that's been flying the highest as of late, as Clemson supplanted Alabama as the best program in America. So this is a chance for somebody else in the SEC, not named Alabama, to do what Alabama cannot, and see if they can find a way to knock off the dominant ACC foe.
And that's where, in a weird way, I'm like, good, go get it, Clemson. Because honestly, who would have thought that they would be the undercard or the underdog after doing what they did last year to Alabama in the title game, and somehow we've forgotten about them because one game was close on the road at North Carolina?
Well, I did not forget about them, so therefore I don't
feel... The conversation, though, grows tired, though, when it's all focused on LSU, and you're like, what about this group? They've got most of their dudes back, especially on offense.
Yeah, I'm ready for that group to start losing. I'm about ready for that group to start losing.
Us, yeah.
I mean, I need these losses to start happening. We're done here. I don't need any more added recruiting fuel.
Yeah. If you look at it from a recruiting map standpoint, then you have to root for LSU in this game because then it breaks up the Alabama dynasty a little bit more.
Yeah, and the truth is, honestly, that we just have to worry about us right now. Listen, Clemson has done what they should do. They've taken advantage of a down Atlantic, a down Florida State program, most importantly, and they have raked it in because they had a plan. They followed it diligently. They have committed to it as a university and as an alumni base, and they've won a lot of games, and they've done it well, and I admire that. I'm ready for it to be over. I'm ready for us to do something about it, but I admire what they've done. I get it. I understand how it's happened. Thank God it's them and not Miami or something like that. I would be beside myself. That I wouldn't be able to handle.
That would be a special kind of... And that's the problem here is while they are a rival, absolutely, and I'm getting tired of the Clemson machine, I'm not tired of it in a way that, even though they're in our division, it's not the same as Miami because we haven't taken something from each other quite yet. Not like those decades.
No, if anything,
history.
We took something from them, and then we didn't stay around long enough to have them come back and take it from us because we just decided to crash the plane in the mountain.
Right. Like then Flanagan took 16 from us, not Clemson.
Right.
It wasn't necessarily Clemson's issue. It was more Jeff Flanagan.
Good work out of you. Our thanks to Ira Chaffel as well. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Enjoy the game tonight. Should be simply outstanding. We'll have it here for you on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Of course we do.
We do have it on these airwaves. We also will have the Super Bowl in just a couple of weeks' time, championship weekend this weekend. But our thanks to college football national championship sponsor Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
My man.
They've been supporting us so many ways for so many years, and they are sponsoring tonight's game.
Thank you, Patrick. Really appreciate you and your entire outfit as they have, as you said, taken great care of this station. Me personally and the Cameron family, they have done yeoman's work, and we thank Barano Heating and Air Conditioning for their sponsorship of tonight's national championship game, which you're going to be listening to right here. Again, enjoy the game tonight, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Be well.